Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports and entertainment podcast that's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the real cinch, Neal Lynch. I'm a former fourth-string college quarterback and mediocre middle relief pitcher with an overpriced film and media studies degree. And now I'm a single dad who loves to talk about Giants football, Mets football? No, although that would be pretty cool. Mets baseball, movies, TV shows, and comedy, with some life lessons and funny anecdotes along the way. On today's episode, we're going to be reacting to my biggest life stories from September. Think of it as, I'm selfish. I'm doing this so they have something to listen to on the 12-hour ride down to South Carolina for the holiday. So, yeah, this is going to be funny stories from September, interesting stories from September. So, Labor Day weekend, I had a harsh reality dropped directly onto my face. Tested positive for COVID. Went to the Riverfest pork roll eating championship. Had one of the weirdest job application experiences of my life, and somehow it still got topped. My daughter's birthday party meltdown, and the movie Wild Robot. So without further ado, let's get started up in here. All right. So I left, last episode I left you with a cliffhanger. What happened on Labor Day weekend that caused Neal to question reality, question himself, question his eyeballs, his judgment, question everything? Labor Day weekend, I did not have my daughter. She was with her mama. She says mama, which is, it doesn't bother me, but it's just like every time I hear it, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Like, you're not from, what's going on? This isn't 1920s Alabama. Why are you calling your mother mama? We live in New Jersey. We have always lived in New Jersey. So it's been hard to get used to that. But she was with her mama for Labor Day weekend. So we had just had a wonderful night at Cirque de Paris. Full recap and review in that previous episode, the last episode I did. Well worth the money. Got a good bang for the buck. I drove to drop off my daughter in the morning, that Friday morning of Labor Day weekend, at her mother's place. Her mother forgot, which is par for the course. It's interesting that, you watch movies and TV shows, and it's always the guy that forgets everything. The guy. It's like, oh, you forgot my birthday. You forgot our anniversary. You forgot our first date. You forgot where we met. You forgot this. You forgot that. You forgot. What's my name? That has not been the experience in the past two relationships I've had. It's always like, I'm like, yeah, remember. I mean, the last woman that I dated, it was a running joke, but then it got kind of like, it not stopped being a joke. It was like, wait, so you really don't remember? Like, I'm remembering all this stuff. You don't remember anything. And it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel real bad. In a lot of ways, I wish I didn't have such a good memory. And I mean, we've talked about this before. I have a selective memory. It's not like the best memory. I remember weird things, unimportant things. I don't remember the important stuff, like during job interviews. Tell me about a time when you had a conflict and how you went about it. I'm just like, I know I worked at this place. It's just like, can't remember any of that stuff, but yet I remember final score of the Super Bowl 21. Cool. So yeah, that was the running joke with the last girlfriend was, it was like a 51st date situation where I'm constantly bringing up stuff literally from the day before. And she'd be like, nope, no clue. I'm like, all right, well, pop in the VHS. Should be right there on the counter. Just pop it in and it'll tell you everything about our relationship, which I love so much, which you don't remember. So of course, the ex-wife, similar type thing where it's like, it doesn't matter. Like I can put it on the calendar. I can send her an email. I can set notifications and reminders. I can send her a text. We can talk about it in person. She'll still forget. Just like, hey, I have to catch a ferry at this time. If I don't catch a ferry at that time, I will then have to buy a new ticket, which sucks, and have to get, I mean, it's not like crazy expensive, but it's just, you know, I would like to avoid that, you know, kind of scraping by at the moment. So I was like, you know, I don't want to miss this ferry. It's at this time, you know, I'll be at your place. Is it okay if I drop her off at your place before this time so I can get on the road so I can make sure I'm there by the ferry time? Because even though like without traffic, that drive can be 3.5 hours easy. I've done that drive and it's been 6 hours. So it's like it is the box of chocolate from Forrest Gump. You never know what you're going to get. So I was just like, I'm going to play it safe, try to get there as early as possible. And of course she, you know, I get there, ringing the doorbell, knock on the door, no answer. And then she kind of like stumbles over in her bathrobe with bedhead, one eye closed, like, oh my God, I totally forgot. Like I was like calling her. I'm like, hey, no worries. Have fun. Peace. So this time though, I usually, when I go to Block Island, I usually take the ferry from Point Judith in Narragansett, which is a lovely little section area there. And I like taking the ferry from there. But, and I used to do it, I used to go from there because my grandmother lives in Rhode Island. And so I'd always try and like make a pit stop or detour and visit her, usually on the way back. And that just makes it easier. My grandmother has passed. She passed Memorial Day of last year. Oof, it's already been way more than a year. Damn. And my friends keep urging me to take the ferry from New London, Connecticut. So I'm like, all right, I guess I could give it a shot. So this is my first time going to the New London ferry in Connecticut. I I like to dial up a playlist to get me hype and pumped and excited for not only long holiday weekend, but also the beach, warm weather, good drinks, all that great stuff, summer fun. And so I following the GPS, following the directions, and I see the exit for New London. And as I'm pulling off the exit ramp and I'm coming to the main intersection right off the exit ramp there to where the ferry is going to be, Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses comes on. I wouldn't be mad if in my obituary they said that that's my favorite song. I wouldn't hate that. It's definitely one of my favorite songs, could be my favorite song of all time. Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses comes on, and as I'm exiting and coming to the stop, oh no, it's not Welcome to the Jungle. Wow, I already fucked it up. Oh, I fucked it up. It was not Welcome to the Jungle, and I sincerely apologize. It was Paradise City by Guns N' Roses. Also a great song. Not as good as Welcome to the Jungle. And I guess either of those songs would apply. Welcome to the Jungle probably was more apropos for what was happening. But Paradise City is funnier. So I want to make sure I get this right. It was Paradise City by Guns N' Roses. If you're not familiar, it's Take Me Down to Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. How won't you please take me home? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Take me down to the Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. So that is playing. Those lyrics are coming through the speakers, full tilt, full blast. And I pull up to this stop sign or red light, major intersection, and there is just homeless people everywhere. It's just like, and it, and I'm listening to the lyrics, and it's just like, this one's like strung out, like just assed out on the grass area on the one corner, on the next corner, person with I assume a meth head, fit all the characteristics, standard traits of a meth head: missing teeth, hollowed out, gaunt look, like hair falling out, balding patches. You can see all the bones, holding a massive sign. Like I can't remember what the sign said. On the other corner, like every corner had homeless people not living their best life. Just not. And then all I hear is "Take me down to the paradise." And this is the first time that I've ever been in New London, Connecticut. It's like, "Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green." And I'm just like, this is quite the first impression for New London, Connecticut, aka Paradise City. So I was like, it's going to be a good weekend. If this kind of thing, that's a good sign. I look for signs, symbolism, iconography. Nope, not going to get it. GPS took me to a parking garage. Parking garage was, as the children say, sus. It was very suspect. I pull up. There is like the ticket machine with the little lever thing that goes up and down, but there were three youths that were standing by the ticket machine, all wearing official looking garb, but not that official. Like, it didn't have a company name. Like, they're all wearing the kind of the same thing, and they look like they would be parking garage attendants, but they also, like, it didn't look very official. And then the ticket machine, like, wasn't working. So they're there and they're like, "Hey, when are you coming back?" And I'm like, "First and foremost, do you work here?" And, they're taking all my information. And I'm like, they're just, this is just some kind of like new Gen Z scam. This is just, they're going to take all my information and be like, "Yeah, this is the car. This is the license plate. He's coming back on Sunday. So make sure you steal the car on Saturday." So I don't even know if they took a card. Did they take a card? Yes, they took a card. So I guess they have my credit card info. Awesome. And then I ended up having to park outside, which sucks. They had this whole big parking garage where it's all shaded. And they're like, "Yeah, park out there, over there." And I'm like, why do you have all these? Can I just park in the shade? No? Okay. So I get to get back into the Sahara when I'm leaving and going back home. Friggin' desert. My interior is going to be melted. It's going to be a pool of leather by the time I get back in this car. Cool. So now I notice I said it's a Labor Day weekend. Okay. Notice how I said that. Labor Day weekend. And I said, I'm going to be back on Sunday. Now, why did I say that? Huh. Why did I say that? Well, is it because I checked in with my friends? And I said, I want to make sure I get this absolutely 1,000% correct. So I'm not going to butcher this. We're going to get this. Sunday. Now, why Sunday? You have Monday off. Monday's Labor Day, and understandably, some people, they don't want to have to deal with all that holiday traffic coming back on Monday, driving back. So maybe they would like to leave early on a Sunday. I know people did it when I had a shore house, when I was when I had a rental, when I was a share in a rental, Jersey Shore house rental for the summer. People sometimes like to get out of Dodge before the holiday day. I get it. I'm not one of those people. I'm not as bad as some people. Like, I would try and extend the weekend as much as possible. And there were people who would stay like that night, the holiday night, and then drive back early in the morning. Those people, I've tried to do it a couple times, and it always ends in shame, guilt, sorrow, nausea. So I'm like, I very rarely can pull that off, but there are other people that can do it, and it's just like Godspeed. But so I don't leave the earliest. I don't leave the latest typically. But so why did I say I'm coming back on Sunday? I had a little text chat going with my buddy's wife, who doesn't like the fact that I call her my buddy's wife. So I'll say my gal friend. She texts me the Monday leading up to Labor Day weekend. So for this weekend, if you want to come with us, we are taking the 8:30 on Friday. So you can stay over on Thursday night and park heading back on the 8:10 on Sunday night. Heading back on the 8:10 at Sunday night. I just want to make that clear. Why? I don't know. It might be important later. My text message back. You're coming back Sunday night? ? Interesting face emoji. Yes. She doubled down. Yes, on the 8:10 ferry. I then sent a barfing emoji. Like literally the emoji with vomit pouring out of its mouth. She writes back 8:10 p.m. to be clear, as if that would make things any better. And it does significantly. I mean, 8:10 a.m. ferry after a holiday weekend of booze and to the extreme. Yeah, that's a hard pass. And then I said, let it be known that not having ferries leave New London, Connecticut from 11:50 a.m. to 4:40 p.m. is a federal crime, which it is. I mean, you're looking at 5 hours. You don't have any ferries running on a holiday weekend from a very popular ferry destination, departure point to a very popular ferry destination. You don't have any ferries for 5 friggin' hours during what I would assume is peak hours. I mean, granted, it is a Friday, but it's a holiday weekend. Like, step it up. So she writes back, they do, we just will not be taking those. Like, why would I throw out my text? They don't have any ferries from 11:50 to 4:40 if they do have ferries from 11:50 to 4:40. So let me know what you want to do. And I write back, they actually don't. Because I'm looking directly at the schedule. I've checked every schedule imaginable, unless there's some kind of off the menu schedule where you need a password and there's like, a membership to access the exclusive secret ferry schedule. Then no, they actually don't. She writes back, of course they do! ! So I write back, check the schedule, homie. She sends me a screenshot of the ferry schedule, which blatantly shows that there are 0, and I mean 0 ferries leaving between 11:50 a.m. and 4:45 p.m. She then writes, after sending a screenshot that blatantly shows there are no ferries from 11:50 to 4:45. I feel like I'm on crazy pills. She then texts, I have it memorized. Trust me by this. Is it for both days, Friday and Monday, the yellow one. I have it memorized. Trust me by this. Is it for both days, Friday and Monday, the yellow one? I mean, I'm trying to read it to you. There's no, it just doesn't make sense. I have it memorized. Trust me. So I get that part. By this, is it for both days, Friday and Monday, the yellow one? Okay. So the yellow schedule. By the way, look at the yellow schedule. No ferries from 11:50 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. I write back, are you blind? It says no departures from 11:50 to 4:45 on the yellow schedule. She writes back, this person is, by the way, this person is a very, very high level executive at a very high profile fashion luxury company. Like, you don't, I mean, there's there used to be a podcast on Barstool called Failing Upwards, which was about the fashion industry. And judging by this text conversation alone, Failing Upwards is a perfect summation of this woman's career trajectory. And knowing her personally, it's like, I don't know how it's possible that you got to the level that you got to. But I kid. She is very qualified and she has been very successful in her work. But at the same time, like, it makes me hate myself even more. The fact that I do pay attention and I have attention to detail, and it's not important. So she checks back, OMG, why do you need those specific times? So weird. There are a million options. I react with the exclamation point, tap back, because there are not, quote unquote, a million options. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. There are 5 options. I am driving so that I can get, because I am harassed and badgered nonstop about how I don't get there. I get there too late. I always pick the wrong ferry time. I don't get there in early enough time. I always get there too late. I always miss everything, blah, blah. So I'm trying to make sure I get there as quickly as possible so I don't catch any flack. I will, regardless. I should know that and accept that. You think I would learn it by now, but I'm dumb, dude. So there are not a million options. There are 5. And I'm looking for options that are between 11:50 and 4:45, because if I decided to go on the 4:45 p.m. friggin' ferry, I would catch a tsunami of shit from this woman. So I'm trying to get to the 11:50, but knowing that traffic's a bitch, you might not get the 11:50. So that's going to be a roll of the dice. Anyway, let me know what you want to do. If you go too late, you might be at risk for parking. Okay, so there are not a million options. Whatever you decide, tickets need to be bought ASAP. It's Labor Day weekend and this ferry does sell out. And I wrote back, yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. No thanks to you. So what do? I get the 11:50, going there. And then coming back, I get the 8:10 p.m. on Sunday night. Now, why did I do that? Because she said we're going back on the 8:10 p.m. on Sunday night. She doubled down on that shit. She triple stamped that shit. I get there, everyone's working, and they won't be able to stop working for another whatever. So did I need to get there that early? No. And she ended up working because there was a literal fire going on with her operation. The stores were not in order, which was a quote that we repeated ad nauseum. Get your stores in order. So finally, we're all out back in the backyard, hanging around the fire pit, no fire, drinking, getting our drink on, getting our sun on. She joins us. It's me, my buddy, my gal friend, and our other friend who has the same last name as me. So I don't want to dox this person. I guess I don't know. I don't want to reveal who they are. She's the daughter of a famous broadcaster in the New England area. If you're from the New England area, you already know who I'm talking about. If you're not, well, do some research on your own. I'm not doxing this person. I don't think. We're all sitting around and I popped the question. I said, hey, why are you taking, I said something about, going back Sunday night. And I was like, yeah, it's so weird that, why are we going, do you guys have something to do on Monday? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, then why are you going back Sunday night? Why are we going back Sunday night? And they're like, we're not. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we're not going back on Sunday night. And I'm like, yeah, you are. I texted with you and you repeatedly confirmed that you're going back Sunday night. She's like, why would we do that? I hate leaving Block Island. I get sad leaving this place. Why would I want to leave it earlier? She's like, and I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. You're the one who told me Sunday night at 8:10 p.m. So no. She meant Monday night, 8:10 p.m. Monday night, 8:10 p.m. So I get anxiety thinking about fairies because, and I'll tell you why I get anxiety about fairies, because this woman has given me anxiety about fairies. You have to do this. You have to do that. It's going to sell out. It fills up fast. By the way, it has never sold out. It has never filled up fast. I've never tried to buy a ticket and they've been like, sorry, out of luck. Like it's never happened. And changing your ticket, you think would be a simple process. If you bought it through the website or you bought it through the app, go to your manage your tickets. Click. Here are your tickets. Need to change or reschedule? Yes, click. What time and date would you like? Click. Yes, that's available. Would you like to change? Confirm. Click. All right, confirm. Click. Boom, done. It's literally a 2-minute process online or through the app. Instead, you can't. You have to call them. And by the way, holiday weekend, their hours fucking suck. So they're not going to pick up. And if they do, they'll say, yeah, you have to come down to the ticket place and change it in person, which I hate doing. So why, and then she acts like, why is this such a big deal? Why are you freaking out? It's like, well, you freak out and it gets me to freak out. And then you act like you're not freaked out. It's, it's just like, if your butthole is tight right now and you're clenched, welcome to the club. Welcome to the party, pal. I'll say this, before, I did get picked up at the ferry dock, whatever the hell it is, before getting to the house. I had to wait because my buddy was working. He had a call. So I didn't have any sunscreen. So I had to find shade. And I'm like, I just need to go buy some sunscreen real quick. How? On God's green earth. Do you live in a tourist destination for the summer, a beach town, an airy store by the ferry dock where all these tourists looking to spend cash money are coming in, pouring in by the ferry load? How do none of those stores sell sunscreen? How the fuck is that possible? When you are all your revenue pretty much is coming from tourists in the summertime, and you have all those stores set up to sell merchandise and whatnots. And everyone goes there to go to the beach, and you don't have sunscreen. And I don't care if it's a coffee shop, donut shop, insurance company, accountant, fire station. Just have a display of sunscreen right when you enter the venue, the storefront. I know it's being a little facetious, but Jesus Christ, there's a store where it's like your typical tourist store. We sell T-shirts, hats, keychains, bullshit that souvenir store type thing. How do you not sell sunscreen in that fucking place? Unbelievable. So I had to stand and chase the shade on one side of the street, the opposite side of the street that I need to be on to get picked up. Because if I stand in the sun for more than 5 minutes, I turn into a friggin' lobster. So, and then people are like, all right, what? That's weird. Why is this guy standing there with a suitcase on the other side of the street and just lurking in front of store fronts? So it's a great way to kick off things. There were wasps. So, eventually my buddy picks me up, which is very nice. Takes me back to the house. We're out back. I'm able to get some sunscreen, thank God. And we're tanning, drinking, and there are wasps. They're just wasps, not many, maybe one, maybe two. And the one woman's freaking out. My buddy's not exactly placid, Lake Placid, not calm and serene. I am you can't hurt me anymore. You can't hurt me anymore. Whatever you're about to do to me, wasp, it won't sting. I'm numb. I'm comfortably numb. So while they're freaking out, I was just sitting there like, whatever. I welcome the sweet sting of death. Like, just bring it on, bro. You can't hurt me any more than I've already been hurt. Cue Johnny Cash. We also talked about jobs and careers. You know, I had just been laid off, as I mentioned in the last episode. Mass layoffs. Third time in the past 4 years. No big deal. And so all of a sudden, my friends all start getting on their phones and doing job searches for me. And just like, because, my one friend was in a kind of similar situation to me in that she started off as like a blogger, content, writer, that kind of realm. And then, kind of got sick of that side of the business and then ended up becoming like a content strategist for a bank, like a finance company. She's like, that's what you need to do because they pay way more than you would receive as, an author, blogger, writer for the media and entertainment industry. Finance, healthcare, insurance, they have the money to pay you your market value and then some. So they're all on their phones, like searching for jobs for me and forwarding me jobs and whatnot. I'm just like, okay, cool. Meanwhile, no positions open. No positions open. And all the positions were like, you need to pass a Series 69 or whatever. I'm like, I'd like to think unofficially I have. Giggity. Which I guess I had to stop saying giggity because Quagmire is legitimately not just a pervert, like criminal pervert. So yeah, my gal friend, buddy's wife, was getting chewed out on the phone by all kinds of people. And it's so funny that like when things go sideways or haywire and people like the whole all decorum goes out the window, all like hierarchy, goes out the window. It's just like this person thinks that you're responsible for something. And it's like, nope, no, I don't deal with that. It's like I oversee and that's that person's responsibility. But like in terms of the details, no, it's, so she's running around with her hair on fire, getting chewed out. And we're just casually avoiding wasps and sipping on drinks. We ended up going to Eli's for dinner. I've been there before. I think I've talked about it before. It's a nice little place. There's always a line out the ass, like right when they open, I think, going down that street. Like, so right when you turn the corner in Block Island from the ferry dock, right around the corner from the National, I think it's called. And I guess Beach House is right on the corner there. You go down a little bit. There's Eli's, not a huge place by any means, but pretty good place. And I didn't know what I wanted to drink. I was like, man, what should I drink? And my buddy is not just a phenomenal athlete, a gifted athlete physically. Like I often refer to him as a superhero just because like he's not only strong, he's quick, blah, blah, but he's also, and I guess it's maybe that's working out does this for you. I wouldn't know because I don't work out as much as I probably should. But like it also, they say, improves mental acuity and mental agility. And my God, he was all over this. I said, what should I have to drink? And without skipping a beat, as if he was giving a recommendation, he says Cosmopolitan. But he said it in a way that made me think that a Cosmopolitan is something other than a Cosmopolitan. Like it was almost like he was saying Metropolitan. He was just saying like a really cool name for a drink that I was like, ooh, like I just 1000% forgot what a Cosmopolitan was. And so I was like, that sounds good. I think I'll have that. And our server, obviously probably a college-aged waitress, just gave me a look like, yeah, you sure? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, all right, one Cosmo. And then it started to sink in. And the way the server leaves and I'm like, what? kind of confused. And then I don't know if it was one of the ladies that, in our group was just like, did you just order a Cosmo? And Brian's like, he just ordered a Cosmo. I was just like, I just ordered a Cosmo. Why did I order a Cosmo? It's because he called it a Cosmopolitan and he put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. And the way he said it made it sound like it was different from what a Cosmo is. And no, I do not want a fucking Cosmo. Listen, it is on record that I am a girly drink drunk. If you listen to the Key West episode or any episode, I guess I order what many manly men consider to be girly drinks, but I gotta draw the line at the Cosmopolitan. So I then had to get up and chase down the server to change my drink order. And the two ladies who were in our group, my buddy's wife, the gal friend, and our broadcaster's daughter, were embarrassed beyond all belief, except for my buddy who was laughing his sculpted, chiseled booty off. So I'm glad, that's what I'm here for. That's what I've often said, what's my purpose? I say that probably on a daily basis. What's my purpose? My purpose is for people to laugh at me, for people to be like, oh my God, well, at least I'm not that guy. So, Friday, I had the dinner and went back to the house and, was that the day that I did the thing with the thing? It might have been Saturday that I did. I think Friday, everyone kind of turned in early. I know, our one friend, the broadcaster's daughter, she goes to bed very early. I think like 8:30 at night. She was going to bed. And, we kind of hung out and talked for a little bit, but I think we ended up going to bed kind of early that night, if I remember. Next day, we went to the beach. And, I've made reference to this. I've teased this. Enough teasing. All right. Let's get straight. Enough foreplay. Let's get straight to the intercourse. All right. On the beach, and as much as I say I don't work out, I don't work out like my buddy does. He's like full on, was looking into doing the CrossFit games. Okay. He's my age, CrossFit games. So that's where he's at physically. I have taken measures and steps to increase my amount of exercise. I exercise 6 of the 7 days of the week, which is, going from 0 days a week that's a big adjustment. You can find a video of me talking about how I was close to 250 pounds in like December 2020, January 2021, which might have been the reason why my ex-wife was like, yeah, we need a divorce. My then wife was like, yeah, you are off the rails. You are you're in the deep end, friend. You're drowning and I don't want to drown with you. So yeah, there's a video, you can look it up, like Fat Dad or something like that. Science of losing weight. I was pushing 250 pounds at that point. So once I started, I think it was actually summer of 2022 on the beach in Block Island. I was like seeing all the thongs. I was just like, this is bad. Like I remember, like I was trying to throw a football and not being able, and, it was a bad sight. Like I think a lifeguard came over and told me to put on some clothes. Like it was a bad visual for everyone. And so I was like, you know what? I got to get back out there. I got to get back in the game. I got to get back in shape. I got to get back in playing shape. Right. And so, started going on the Peloton again, eventually bought a Peloton. And, I got down to like right before the Key West trip, I was below 215 pounds. So I was around 214 pounds. And I'm right now I'm around 220, but, I was just cycling, but also doing quasi yoga type stuff, like exercises that stretch out and strengthen the core and the hips and the pelvis. You know what I mean? Because at the time I was using it a lot and I wanted to get better at that activity. Wink, wink, wink. So I've continued to exercise, and I'm feeling a little bit better about my look. Again, I've had plenty of people, believe me, there's no shortage of people lining up to tell me how disgusting my body looks. Like they've sent pictures they've taken candid pictures without my knowledge and sent it to the group chat and being like, look at this specimen. Like, look at this piece of shit. And I've been like, it's not my fault. I try. So, I realize, I have self-awareness. And as much as I think that I do look like Dookie, I feel like I'm realistic about my rating, right? So if you do, remember Hot or Not? I think it was Hot or Not. And there was another one where it's like, 1 to 10, we're going to show you pictures of random people. They have opted in, voluntarily uploaded the picture, and they want you to rate them so that you can see like where you stand, who's in your league, who's out of your league, etc. And listen, you can say it's superficial and vain. It's a human condition. It's called being human. Very few people have been able to rise above the vanity and the superficiality of it all. I mean, Jesus Christ, I just read an article about Florence Pugh being like, talking about looks and Hollywood and how like people were saying listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that Hollywood producers aren't like some of the most worst scum of the earth in terms of like beauty standards and looks and all that, and telling Keira Knightley she's too fat or something. It's like, she's what? And Florence Pugh being like, well, I never, I didn't want to be one of those people. She said she got passed over for her looks. And she's like, I don't, something about looks. And I was just like, does she not know she's like one of the most beautiful people on earth? Anyway, that's how fucked Hollywood is. So listen, we all have that. It's human bias. It's innate. I mean, Jesus, my 6-year-old children are gonna like, they pick up on it, like whatever. So I'm like, I wasn't necessarily feeling myself, but I definitely felt better about myself in that moment on that beach than I did 2 years ago on that beach, where it was just like, I assure you, I'm not a beached whale. I am a human being. I don't belong in the ocean. Stop pouring water on me. So I felt good about my regiment, my physicality. Like, is it tip top shape? Could I do better? Of course we could all do better. And I remember I don't think it was Hot or Not, but it was some kind of website where I uploaded my picture. And this was back when I was like in my 20s. I want to say it was like 23, 24 maybe. So it was like, that's when, your early 20s, mid 20s, the late 20s, that's usually your peak. That's when you peak. It's your zenith, right? In terms of physicality, your prime. I think I got a 5.6 rating out of 10. And it was like, oh, okay. Kind of hoping for like a 6 or 7, but I'll take a 5.6. At least it's not below a 5, right? If it's below a 5, I'm in trouble. And I need to take a very hard, long look in the mirror, which I do anyway. And it's not helping. I don't know what prompted me to do this or say this, but I know that these friends of mine are honest, sometimes painfully so. I can be very brutally honest and painfully honest. So I turn to my friend, my buddy's wife, aka gal friend, and I say, all right, how would you rate me on a scale of 1 to 10? I got a look. I got a look. There was some hesitation, and I could see the wheels turning in her head, and she's thinking, and she's like, oh no, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? Because she has a number in her head for sure. As soon as I ask the question, boom, a number pops in her head. But she doesn't, and this is from someone who's brutally, painfully honest. She couldn't bring herself to say it. And so that caused my heart to flutter a bit, little AFib going on in the old chest cavity. So I guessed 5. Because in my heart of hearts, I'm like, please, God, I can't be lower than a 5. If I'm lower than a 5, I think I need to change my name and move to the moon. Like, I can't be lower than a 5. 5 is average, right? 5 is average. So I guess 5. Thinking she'll be like, oh, no, you're not a 5. You're a 6. And I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. So not much has changed. I guessed 5. And she pursed her lips and raised her eyebrows, as if to say, wow, you think that highly of yourself? And I was like, oh no. And then I said, well, I'm not less than a 5, right? Still nothing. She couldn't give me a number. I pressed and I pressed and I pressed, full court style, doubled, triple teamed. She refused to call timeout. And she never gave me a number. So I'm less than a 5. That's all I know is I'm less than a 5. My 4, I hope to God I'm not less than a 4. But yeah, that was a gut punch. That was just like, wait, what? Like, no, I'm not even average. I'm below average. Huh. Okay. Which, I did have my shirt off, so that probably did not help things. Maybe if I was dressed to the nines, she would be like, yeah, you're a 5. But I do get upset whenever I have family members say, oh, he's so handsome, so handsome. It's just like, don't say that. Don't inflate my ego. I don't need to get a big head about this. I already have legitimately physically a big head. 7 3/4 hat size in college. And I think it's like I'm pushing 8 now. I don't know what the swelling that's going on in my dome is just out of control. But I get upset when my family says I'm handsome. I'm like, you're so handsome. And like of course, my grandmother used to, and my great aunt still does. Oh, you're such a I don't understand why you're single. You're such a handsome boy. It's just like, I'm 44. And no one thinks I'm handsome. I can tell you that much. A handful, perhaps, for sure. Handful, but not handsome. And I think when I say, no, I'm not handsome, I mean, whatever. I've said a lot of embarrassing shit on this podcast, but I don't care. It's all for entertainment purposes. It's all to be comedic and funny. And I think I might have said it before, but I'm like, Mom, I'm not, I know you think I'm handsome. I'm not handsome. I was like, well, I think you're handsome. Like, I mean, you look like your father. I thought your father was handsome. It's like, yeah, it's like, Dad, I don't know. Like of course, my buddy's wife thinks my dad is a rocket. Just like so hot. My ex's best friend saw a picture of my uncle and was like, oh, he's so hot. And then I'm like, but what do you think? So do you think like I'm basically them, like genetically I am aligned with them. So what do you think about it? I always want to be like, so what do you think? What do you think of me? And I feel like anytime I've had the balls to ask that, people have been like, you're all right. It's just like, what? I feel like I'm in shallow hell. What's happening? Am I really delusional? Again, this is all so vain and superficial. I get it. And it's and my personality sucks, which doesn't help things. But, I think sometimes my mom takes it as a slight, like, oh, so you're calling the family ugly? It's like, no, that's not it. I'm trying to figure this out, trying to figure out where I stand in the world, and I'm not doing a good job of it. Because there are, case in point, there's like last summer when I thought, one of our friends, I find her attractive, and I thought maybe there might be a case there for us getting together. I was laughed off the island. Like they were just like, oh no. And so, I'm sure it's like a package thing where it's like, well, if you worked in finance and if you earned 7 figures, yeah, there would be no issue here. But you are far from it, my guy. So I get that part of it. But I was like, from just a purely looks personality standpoint, let's just not have income revenue be part of the equation just for a hot sec. They were just like flat out, no, that's a no. And I was just like, huh, okay, interesting. So, humans, we're a funny bunch. So yeah, that was. Anyway, my mom says I'm handsome, and I was like, no, mom, it's just I don't think people really like my look. And they're like, well, what about your look? Like, well, my body hair, I just have like a lot of body hair, arm hair, leg hair, chest hair. And she's like, well, I think it's sexy. And I'm just like, my mom just called me sexy. She's like, I love your father's chest hair, blah, blah. I was just like, mom, this is just, it's not the 70s. Bushes, although bushes, I guess, are making a comeback, I guess. Like, bushes are out. No one's into the bushy look. So, TMI, you know it, brother. So that sucked. And then, yeah, I think we ended up doing some lobster. I might have done lobster for that dinner. So much food, so much good food too. Sunday was an inside day. So basically, upon arrival on Friday, my buddy's wife, gal friend, is like coughing like crazy, and she feels like she's getting sick, which she never gets sick. And so we all kind of like, we didn't keep like a huge distance from her, but we weren't like, making out with her. We weren't like licking her face. She wasn't spitting in our mouths. Like we kept kind of a good distance. It wasn't like we were in close proximity to her, but she was coughing a lot. And so that's important to note because Sunday, shitty weather, not a beach day, raining, cloudy, awful. So we had an inside cat day. And we started watching Horizon American Saga. Now, my buddy's wife is on the couch and she is just like pretty much out of it. Like now has like headache, fever, congestion, coughing. Like she's down for the count. And so we all kind of did like a sick day together, solidarity, even though none of us are really sick yet. And we started watching Horizon American Saga. Holy shit, man. The balls on Kevin Costner to go out and with his own money make a 2-part movie with each part being 3 hours. That his original IP is out of control. I mean, like the balls on this dude. I read up on it. Apparently he takes it to the studios and they're all like, hell no. No, everyone's turning him down left and right. And he takes, I think it was like 70 some odd $1 million of his own money to produce this 2-part movie. Part 1 came out in the theaters. When did it come out in the theaters? Was it May, June, July? Let's see here. The budget for both films was $100 million, which, I mean, fairly cost effective. So chapter 1, Horizon American Saga, chapter 1 came out June 28th, 2024. And chapter 2 was originally set to be scheduled for an August 16th release. I mean, that is out of control, dude. You're going to release part 1, chapter 1, which is clocking in at almost 3 hours in late June. And then you're going to release chapter 2, also clocking in at 3 hours, like not even 2 months later. Apparently at, oh my God, August 16th, it was supposed to come out. And obviously did not come out. Due to the box office disappointment in chapter 1, it was announced that the release date of this film had been indefinitely delayed until further notice. It had its world premiere at the Venice International Film Festival on September 7th. So that Labor Day weekend. Oh boy. And there's supposed to be 2 more chapters. There's supposed to be 4 fucking chapters in this goddamn movie series. 4. It grossed 34 million at the box office. Chapter 1 did. Jesus Christ. Holy crap. The budget for chapter 1 was 50 million. The all-time worldwide box office ranking is 5,645. It got 51% of critics gave it a favorable review on Rotten Tomatoes. It got a 49 out of 100 on Metacritic and a B- score on CinemaScore. I think audiences liked it a little bit more than critics. I think it actually might not be rotten according to audiences, but I mean, wow, dude. Wow. To pour your heart and soul into that and to get, I mean, basically you have a 4-part plan and one fails so badly that you're looking at, you were, I mean, they already started production. I mean, they were doing production for the third movie, along with chapter 2 in May. In August of this past year, filmmaker stated that though the first installment underperformed at the box office, production will be completed in early 2025. And at the Venice Film Festival, Costner told reporters, "I don't know how I'm going to make chapter 3 right now, but I'm going to make it." Hey, man, maybe don't. Maybe don't bankrupt yourself for a series that no one gives a damn about. I mean, case in point, we watched the first hour. And granted, there was a really kick-ass action scene, but that was about it. That was about it. And it was a brutal scene, but that was about it. We were an hour into that fucking thing. And we were like, nah, I can't do this anymore. We can't do this anymore. Let's just watch something else. So when I got back, I've now tried 2 more times to pick up where we left off. And I'm just like, why is this a movie? What? And then I read somewhere else that he plans to take the movie and turn it into a TV series, which hey, that might work. And I forget, I saw this on Twitter, and I mean, it's not like, anything revolutionary, groundbreaking, but it's funny that we won't sit through a 3-hour movie, but we'll sit through a 10-part TV series that has 1-hour episodes. So we'll sit through 10 1-hour episodes of a TV series, but we won't sit through a 3-hour movie. So maybe that's where this thing ends up. It just ends up being, if it's in 4 parts, 3 hours each, that's 12 hours. It's just a 12-hour series, limited series, and people will love it. It's just all on how you present it, I guess. Like that's what you need to do. You need it, and for movies to work in long movies, you just have to insert after a cliffhanger moment, like an hour in or 45 minutes in, just insert like a Netflix doing like the next episode countdown meter. Just insert that, roll some credits, and people are like, wait, I want to know more. And then they click it and then you keep going. That's how you get around that. Jesus. We also watched The Watchers, which was it M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, or I think it's his daughter directed it or produced it. Directed by Ishana Night Shyamalan, her directorial debut, and is produced by M. Night Shyamalan, based on a 2021 novel by A.M. Shine, fake name. Stars Dakota Fanning, Georgina Campbell, Olwen Fourie, and Oliver Finnegan. And it follows Mina, a 28-year-old artist who becomes trapped in a vast, untouched forest in the west of Ireland. Seeking shelter, she becomes trapped alongside 3 strangers who are stalked by mysterious creatures every night. The Watchers was released theatrically in the United States by Warner Brothers on June 7th and received negative reviews from critics and grossed $33 million worldwide. So yeah, there was definitely, I thought it would, it would be a nice change of pace from what felt like a very slow plotting movie in Horizon American Saga. I thought it was like, all right, you guys like horror. This is kind of a horror movie. Do you like M. Night Shyamalan? Well, it can be hit or miss, boom or bust, which I agree. And this had a lot of, it's your staples, M. Night Shyamalan staples, trademarks throughout it. Like his signature is all over this movie, which makes sense. And it always draws you in. That's the thing about him and his movies. It will always draw you in. and it drew us in. Oh boy, now I gotta find my buddy's text because it was it was such a good text. Is it deleted? I really hope it isn't. Yeah, here it is. So sucks you in, draws you in. It had, I guess, similar along the lines, similar feel and themes to Lady in the Water. Was it Lady in the Water? Another M. Night Shyamalan movie from like 2006 with what's his name? The dude from Billions and Private Parts. He's in that commercial. Ugh. He's the son of the former baseball commissioner, Paul Giamatti. That was Lady in the Water, 2006. Okay film. I mean, like, okay. But, mythical creatures that happen to live in a pool at a condo complex, hotel, motel thing. Okay. And then also similar to The Village, 2004's The Village. And I mean, that has been universally panned. Although I think people might have come around on it, given it's aged like a fine wine a little bit. I think people are coming around on it. But I think most people are like, no, it's trash. The reveal, the twist sucked, blah, blah. So now that I'm thinking about it, I've just referenced two of his worst movies, two of his pan movies. And this one felt like that. So, yeah, and it just had the ending was just kind of like, what's going on here? So, but, not a bad watch, I think is like, I didn't feel pissed or gypped. I mean, definitely the reactions in the room were not great. They're like, oh my God, are you serious? Like what? But it wasn't like I regret watching that or I think I wasted 2 hours of my life. I'm sure that thought crossed some people's minds. It was still like, well, at least it got me thinking and feeling and whatever, and better than sitting through Horizon American Saga. That's for damn sure. But there's a point in the movie, might it be like the halfway point? Usually that's when there's like one of the bigger twists happens. That's where it's supposed to happen, is like halfway through the movie. It changes your whole worldview. And so I think that happened. I think like my buddy and I both had the same thought. And it was probably when Mina, which I can't believe Dakota Fanning is 28. What happened? What happened to time? I still think of her as like, oh, she's in college. No, she's 28. So she finds like a bunker, goes down the bunker, finds a dude, talks to the dude, and doesn't talk to the dude. No, she finds a video. That's what it is. She finds videos of this scientist, doctor, whatever, teacher, professor, something like academic, who's doing these studies on these creatures. And so then you see like he, I guess, fell for one of the creatures, and you get to see more of the creature. And then that's when my buddy and I kind of had the same thought, because I'm like, I audibly was like, oh, I see. I do like that whole thing to get people to be like, what? And be like, you'll see. And then hopefully I'm right. And then when I'm wrong, I feel like an asshole. But when I'm right, I'm like, yep, knew it. Just so people know, like, I caught on the first, because I'm a weirdo and a dickhead. But so I get a text from my buddy, and so there's like, and I'm gonna spoil the movie, but I don't like, if you haven't seen it, I guess you could watch it and you'll be entertained. I don't think you're missing much if you don't watch it. And if you don't want to watch it and you just want to know the plot twist or revelation, then here it is. So Dakota Fanning is watching the video. To give you context, she wakes up. Did she get an accident and wake up? Or did she, I don't know how she gets into this like or she's going through the forest. I think that's it. And she gets lost. And she comes across this person, I think is an old lady. And the old lady is like, it's not safe out here. We need to get you to safety. Takes her back to this, like, I don't even know what you would call it, because it's like a huge shed. Like, it's not like a house. It's just like a big open room. So I don't even know what you would call that. Is that called a bunker? No, because it's not below ground. Like a hut or a shed. Yeah, just a building that's not too big. Very open inside. There are no rooms. It's just one big room. And there's this huge mirror going across. And they can see out. They don't see out. It's like an interrogation room. So they can only see, it's just a mirror. They can only see themselves, right? And then, so it's the old lady, Mina, Dakota Fanning, and then there's like 2 or 3 other characters, whatever. And there's mystery and intrigue for each of these people, each of these characters. Like, what's their story? Ooh, they seem a little off. Like, why are they doing that? What's going on here? And the old lady, is probably the most mysterious. Like, people don't know much about her. And so, this guy, this scientist, when Mina's watching the video, he keeps talking about his wife, or his wife left him or was lost or disappeared. And then they show the scientist, like, I guess, falling for the creature. Like falling in love with the creature. And so that's when, my buddy texts me and he goes, that old bitch be a watchy pants. Because that's what the creatures are called. They're called the Watchers. And they come at night for whatever reason. And they look through the window to see the people, because it's one-way mirror. So they can see through into the people, and the people are just supposed to stand there quiet, and the creatures come and they watch them. Why? Well, you find out why later in the movie. It's kind of, I guess it makes sense, but yeah, he was like, that old bitch be a watchy pants. It just made me crack up so much. Like, watchy pants. And we both knew it. And then we had to watch it knowing that she is a watchy pants. And the way that it ends up, it's like, oof, okay, I guess this makes sense. So the Watchers, you're welcome for spoiling it. I don't know that, decent movie. I mean, I wouldn't say it's one of the worst movies. Would I recommend it if you're an M. Night Shyamalan fan? Yeah, why not? Got some downtime. I mean, it definitely intrigues you. It's interesting. It makes you curious. It sucks you in. But like the reveal and the twist, that's what's so tough about Shyamalan movies. Is like, is the payoff going to be worth the setup? Is the reveal, the twist, going to be worth it? And sometimes, most times it isn't. Sometimes it is. So, and I also watched Trap, but I think that's the next episode I'm going to do. Talk about Trap. I thought Trap was good. I think Watchers had more potential. Trap was better. I'll say that. We ended up ordering tigerfish, and I had a duck quesadilla. What? It was pretty good. Ordered way too much food. I think I ended up paying for it, at least reimbursing, which was nice. So Sunday, yeah, it was just it was a hospital day, sloth to the max. And then the next day, our ferry wasn't until 8:10 at night. So I thought I was going to go back on Sunday. Had to drive down to the ticket office, whatever, get it changed. And it is simple once you get there. It's just like, I'd like to change this. And they're like, okay, boom. It's just a kind of a pain in the ass to like have to, go through all that for what seems like an easy change. But So that Monday, I just basically hung out at the house in the backyard because it was kind of like iffy weather-wise. Like it was kind of teasing us. So I just decided to stay in the backyard and did a lot of tossing of the frisbee. And got a decent workout there. Like frisbee tossing, another thing I'm not good at. It's just like, just when I think I got it down pat and I'm making some really great, I'm humming the bee, as it were. Nope. And yet my buddy kills it, crushes it every time. Definitely got a good workout in, but I also started to feel like crap. The more and more we got closer to the ferry time to leave, I started feeling like crap. And their dog, who I think he was 16 years old, this dog was showing his age, man. Could barely stand up, would fall over, would fall on his tuchus. Was couldn't see very well, couldn't hear very well. In order to walk, would often have to like lean up against a wall or a piece of furniture just to move. So needed help getting up. It was just tough to watch. Good dog though, great dog. Love that dog. 16 years old. They got him in 2008, was it? No, 2007. 2008, I think. So lived a very long, very good life. I mean, they treated that dog like royalty. Even had like an oil painting of him in like a naval officer's. I guess that's stolen valor, but it's still pretty funny. Like an Navy admiral's uniform, which is hilarious. And so, he can't walk. So when we're going to the ferry, there a lot has to happen. Basically, it's like we take the Jeep that they have that they keep on the island. They take that. My buddy drives us down. We unload, take the dog out. Then he has to drive back, and then he will bike back down and lock the bike up, or he will take a cab back. And so I had to carry the dog. So I'm carrying the dog while also toting the bags and whatnot, so that the dog doesn't. So, because the dog can't really walk anymore. But there's also the threat of him peeing, because he does that a lot. Like he can't control his bladder. So there's a threat of him just peeing all over me. So that was fun and got the heart beating and juices flowing. And so I ended up, we're taking them to the ferry. They're not letting people on just yet, but we do have we are able to get on first. So I put the dog down, and this woman comes over who's a self-proclaimed farm girl, and she's petting him, and we're, my buddy's wife, gal friend, is talking to the farm girl, self-proclaimed farm girl, about, the dog and how old he is and blah, blah. And she's like, oh, isn't that wonderful? And she's petting him. And as she's petting him, the dog is just peeing all by her foot, on her foot. And she's like, she's just not picking up on it. So I was like, well, what? And, they're mid conversation. I want to be like, oh, like he's peeing. So, I think we did give her the heads up, and, she eventually was like, oh, okay. We ended up getting a seat in the booth, and, the dog was out like a light, pretty tired. And our buddy joins us. He's able to get on. And I sound like absolute crap. I feel like crap. I sound like crap. And of course, that is the time where my buddy's wife, my gal pal, says, Neal, you sound hot and you look hot too. And I'm just like, I'm at like one of my health wise, I could not feel worse. And then maybe that's what hot people have to go. That's what hot people have to go through. They just have to feel like absolute manure, but at least they look hot. That's their pain. That's their struggle. That's their cross to bear. Jesus, man. I was just like, well, great. Cause I feel like absolute dookie. So I thought it was funny that I'm on the beach feeling great. And you think I'm less than a 5. I now feel like I can barely muster the energy to open my eyelids and speak. And now I look hot and sound hot. Cool. So, and then having to deal with like, I'm hungover and sick and tired. And there's like a booth of like, I feel like high school or college age kids, younger kids that are just like shout talking to each other. And then my buddy's, the gal pal is also trying to talk over them. So she's shout talking. And it's just like, can everyone shut up and let me be in misery, in peace, suffer in peace. And lo and behold, so I get back late on Monday night, after midnight, 1 o'clock, something like that. Lo and behold, Tuesday morning, test positive for COVID. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And the only reason I got the test was because a broadcaster's daughter, our friend, reached out to the group and was like, hey, so I felt really bad, shivering, very cold, whatever. So I decided to get tested for COVID. I have COVID. And so then I was like, I feel like I'm legally obligated now to get tested. I get tested, test positive for COVID. And of course, we all turn our attention toward the gal pal, the buddy's wife, and we're like, you had COVID. Why didn't you tell us? You didn't think that you had COVID? Well, I didn't feel like I had COVID. Well, you had COVID because that's the only way we got it was from you. We had the hospital day on Sunday. When we arrived on Friday, you were coughing up a storm, whatever. So, what sucks about that is my daughter's birthday was in 2 days. Her actual birthday was in 2 days. And then her birthday party was that weekend. And it's like, it's, I don't know what it is, but I just figure I think a lot of people, it's just like COVID, what? COVID's still a thing? Like, yes, COVID is still a thing, which is crazy. And yes, I still have, what do you call it? I guess a hang up about COVID, where it's like, I think most people now, they treat COVID like the flu. It's like, if I have COVID, it's basically like the flu. And so like, should I be going to a party knowing that I'm sick? Like if I have a cough and I'm blowing my nose, should I go to a party? Maybe. It all depends on the severity of it. But like in my head, I'm still thinking like pandemic COVID, where it's like, oh, I could get someone sick who then goes to get their grandmother sick and the grandmother dies because their immune system is not as strong as a younger person's. And so that combined with the complications from whatever pneumonia they have is going to send them to their grave. And it's just like, I don't want that on my conscience. And so I'm still acting I'm still have that pandemic mindset of like, oh, well, I have to isolate and shelter, which they still tell you to do. I mean, those are the guidelines from the CDC. Like, oh, you should isolate and you should do this and like ultra conservative stuff. So I tested every day. I tested, on Tuesday positive. I tested on Wednesday positive. And then I think I tested on Thursday and it was like negative. And then I tested on Friday and it was negative, and her party was Saturday. So I might have tested positive on Thursday and then I tested negative on Friday. But this is where I get so fucking upset that we still don't have the knowledge or the wisdom around this goddamn disease. That if I test negative, it's still contagious. But then my buddy's saying, well, you tested negative, you don't have it anymore. And I'm like, no, but from what I have read, and maybe this is just me not being able to read and absorb information, which is highly likely, but that if you test negative, and these are like the home kits. These are not like, I didn't go and pay like $200 goddamn dollars to have the lab take a look at it. These are like the home tests. So it's like, it's a home test that are significantly cheaper. So can I trust it? Well, I was positive, then negative. And it was like, the test is telling me you need to have like 2 or 3 negatives in a row to really be completely out of it. So it was like, I just played it safe and I did not go. I didn't go to my daughter's 6th birthday party. It was at a indoor trampoline park, whatever, that we've been to before. And, I feel bad, but in the same respect, I don't know. I would have had to see my in-laws again, that's like the only time I see my in-laws, my ex-in-laws, former in-laws, is at birthday parties, and it's not a whole lot of combo going on, not a lot of eye contact or combos. So it's like ultimately, and it's a bunch of her friends' parents who I'm friendly with, and I just don't do well at children's birthday parties, I don't think. So I felt bad, and I felt bad for, her, because it's like literally that's all she talked about for so long was my birthday, my birthday, my birthday. When is my birthday? My birthday coming? Is it next week? Is it tomorrow? Is it today? Is it next year? Like that's all she talked about. And then I ended up missing it. And I'm like, yeah. And anytime she asked for something, I'm like, well, just wait, add it to the list and maybe you'll get it for your birthday. It's either Christmas or birthday. When I say no to like a toy or something, I'm like, well, let me take a picture of it and then maybe you'll get it for your birthday. And of course, I don't get it for her birthday. I mean, she asked for a million things. I can't get her a million things. Every time we go to the friggin' store, she's pointing out, I want that, I want that, I want that. So I missed it. I assume she was bummed, but, she probably got over it. I mean, she had all her other family there. She had all her friends there. And how can you not have fun at a trampoline park? I mean, she did break her leg on a trampoline, so that's fun, right? So yeah, she ended up getting dropped off afterwards. And she opened her gifts here. But I guess my point was, my buddy's like, well, you tested negative, just go. And I'm like, but it's still fresh. It feels fresh. And it feels like I'm still coughing too. I was still coughing. So I was like, I don't want to go. And then somehow it gets out that I had COVID recently and I'm coughing. So people will be like, wait, does he still have COVID? And if he has COVID, why is he here? He shouldn't be here if he has COVID. So I don't know. I just didn't want to put that in anyone's head that, oh, he had COVID and he's coughing still. Like if I didn't have the cough, I'd go, I think. It was just the cough, man. The cough. It was the nail in my coffin. My cough. So yeah, I didn't want to be that guy that's like, is coughing. I was like, why is he here if he's coughing? But then you have that other group of people is like, it's just a cough. It's like it's this never ending battle between like, suck it up, be a man, and you are jeopardizing the community. It's like those two forces are button heads in my head nonstop whenever I get sick. It's like, what? I mean, even when I was seeing my then girlfriend, it was like, you're sick, I'm sick. Should we get together? Like, you're sick. I mean, I don't mind you being sick, but you mind being sick and getting me sick, but I don't mind getting sick. It's just, I don't know, the whole thing. We do this like friggin' dance every time. And it's just like, I don't know. So again, if it was just me, my ex, and my daughter, I would have gone. But it's all these other friends, all these other parents who knows what their views are. They're probably differing, opposing viewpoints. So I just remove myself from the whole equation. So, a lot of ordering groceries for delivery. I took this time when I had COVID that first week in September to be like, all right, I'm going to every long movie that I've ever wanted to watch, let's do it. Because I ain't got shit else to do. I don't really have the energy to do much else. So I'm just going to watch a ton of very long movies. So again, tried a Horizon American Saga, got maybe another 15 minutes and had to turn it off. I was like, all this feels so superfluous and stupid and bloated. Like, let's go. What happened to all that action stuff we saw before? Like, let's get back into that. So I had to turn that off again. I ended up watching Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2, the director's cut, which this is just what Snyder does. And I've completely forgot his first name. Zack Snyder. Yikes. So this is what Zack Snyder does. He works with a studio. They hire him. They like his work. They hire him. He directs. He produces something. It's too long. The studio comes back and says, no, we need to cut all this stuff. And then it ends up being not great. And so then his fans say, release the Snyder Cut. And then he releases the Snyder Cut, and it is significantly longer and slightly better. So it's like, if we could just somehow meet in the middle, it's like the studio is like, we're going to cut all this shit. And then Snyder's like, well, I'm going to leave it all in. So you have his cut, which is like he leaves it all in. And then you have the studio cut, which leaves it all out. And it's like, there's no one in the middle being like, no, let's cherry pick the stuff that is good from the Snyder Cut and keep it in and remove all this other stuff. I mean, like, dude, we know that Snyder's known for the slow-mo shit, right? He loves fucking slow motion. I get it. And like every fight scene, slow motion, and it looks cool as shit. I get it. But it's overkill with the slow motion. I mean, like when I don't know if it's part 1 or part 2, but like literally they're just harvesting wheat and it's in slow motion the entire time. And I'm saying to myself, this is so over the top, like indulgent. You don't need this. Fuck. Like, I can understand if I were working for the studio being like Netflix and being like, can you just explain why this is in slow motion? What is the fucking point of this? Like, and he just wants, and I understand he is able to elevate a movie and a story through the visuals. Visually fucking stunning. No doubt about it. No question. Everything's visually amazing and stunning. But it's like, and there's everything looks cool and looks great. It's just too many scenes where it's like, this does not need to be included, and if you're going to include it, it does not need to be in slow motion for 5 minutes. I feel like I'm living a lifetime harvesting wheat. I understand this is a major, like this is part of the plot, but it's not a huge major plot point. And honestly, if it weren't in slow motion and you had it be for 5 seconds, mission accomplished. It's just like, it's just, some really great sex scenes too. I forget what her name is, but the main character, what else has she been in? Sophia Boutella. She plays Cora. I thought there are parts in this movie where I'm like, she could be like the next big female action star. Known for Kingsman, The Secret Service, Star Trek Beyond, The Mummy. Played Aminette in The Mummy. That makes sense. I remember that. Prisoners of the Ghostland, which stunk. I mean, that movie, god damn, I wanted that movie to be so good. And it was horrible. Climax. That movie, Climax. Hotel Artemis. Atomic Blonde. I think she makes out with, I think she has a sex scene with Charlize Theron in Atomic Blonde. Very nice. Dirty old man, that's what they call me. Yeah, but I thought there were parts and like she doesn't quite have it. You know, the dialogue is not great most of the time. They have some decent actors. I think Charlie Hunnam's in it. He's probably the best actor. Digimon Hansu is in it. He's good. Ed Skrein. Ed Skrein was good as Atticus Noble. Ed Skrein. He was really good as Atticus Noble. Charlie Hunnam as like a kind of a mercenary type dude. He was good. Anthony Hopkins was the voice of Jimmy, the the android robot, which there was a lot of plot lines and storylines where it was like, this just is, where's this going? It's like, there was a part where like, so obviously, not obviously, but the robot, I don't want to say becomes sentient, but like kind of not breaks free of its programming, but is just, I don't know, discovering new things and like opening up its mind, quote unquote, and kind of just like goes off on its own and is just like exploring and following and wandering and discovering. And that felt like that took forever, that storyline. And I'm like, when is this robot going to kick some fucking ass? And of course, eventually it does. And it's amazing. It's awesome. But like, it's just like, okay, now he's just kind of standing in a field and now he's in the distance and he's not helping. He's just kind of on his own. And so that was kind of, I feel like that was a miss. Jenna Malone is Harmada. I forgot about that. But then they also had like, they made mention of like this brother sister duo or this couple. I think it's a brother sister duo. Like they are these lauded, respected, revered, feared rebels, like rebel leaders, and like notorious, infamous throughout the universe and the galaxy or whatever like that. And legitimately, they have like one scene and they don't really, I don't get that. Like they talked up that duo for so goddamn long. And then you get to meet them and you're like, these are the dudes. These are the people. These are the guy and the girl that were like, whatever. And then like one of them's killed, like, sacrifices themselves. But at the same time, it's like, oh, I think it's the Blood Axes. Is that what they're called? Darian Bloodaxe and Devra Bloodaxe, possibly. Played by Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in the Justice League movies. So yeah, I was just like, this is you have such a badass name, Bloodaxe. And people are dropping your name nonstop, hours and hours. And then we get to meet you and it's like, oh, that was it. Okay. Well, Blood Axes. Your reputation precedes you. Oh, Carrie Elwes as the king. Remember him from Princess Bride? Tarak. Stas Nair as Tarak. He had a pretty decent, cool scene where he has to tame that creature, like dragon-like creature. That was pretty cool. We're introduced to Nemesis. Bae Duna plays Nemesis. He's got some cool weapons and powers. She fights like this huge spider. That was pretty dope. But Ed Skrein as Atticus Noble was just like top-notch villain. It was just like so close to being like that next level villain that people will remember. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the director's cuts, part 1 and part 2, but yeah, it was, the dialogue is not great. And, there's, the action's incredible, visually amazing. Could have been 2 hours shorter in total. So if both of them are like 6 hours, you could have reduced it to 4 hours. I think, I think there are times where it's like you're including all these characters, and I don't know that they're all necessary. Jimon Hunsu plays Titus, who great warrior, who then falls on, down times, becomes an alcoholic. And there's that scene where they're all around the table and they're all talking about how they're going to have to take on the Galactic Empire or whatever. That's the other thing, is like this village has like wheat, and the galaxy apparently is hard up for wheat. And they can only get it from this really small village. And they keep asking for more and more wheat from this village. And it's just like, there's no wheat anywhere else. And like, why is the galaxy kind of tiptoeing around the issue here? Why doesn't the galaxy just like blow them out of the fucking water? And they're like, well, we can't blow them out of the water because we need the wheat. And then what ends up happening? They end up opening fire and trying to blow them out of the water regardless. Very confusing. Like, well, why don't we, and I think there was even a scene like this where it's like, why don't we just blow them up? They're not giving us what we need. Why don't we just kill them all and blow them up? Well, because we don't want to lose all their wheat. It's like, okay. And then eventually it's like they have this plan. The villagers have this devise a plan, which is just like, I don't understand how this is going to work. Like, you don't have the firepower that the Galactic Empire does. I mean, you can catch them by surprise, but still, look at the damn ships. Look at them damn guns and cannons. Like, what? How are you going to compete against that? And it's just like, yeah. So that was a little hard to suspend that disbelief. Like, you're going to have it's a whole David versus Goliath thing. I get it. But like, that was a little bit hard to believe. Like, oh, so these guys that, Tarak's like just shirtless. Titus is just shirtless. There's like big, huge, sweaty, glistening muscles. And they're just like hand-to-hand combating everyone while all these motherfuckers have guns and lasers. Like, what? And then they end up opening fire anyway on the whole village. And it's just like, okay, interesting. So yeah, that was a Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2. I have to pause that for right now. Right meow. I have an appointment, but we'll be back right after these messages. We back. Just to put a bow on Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2, there were a ton of critics and reviews saying that it had a lot of similarities to Star Wars and to Seven Samurai, borrowed heavily from those two franchises, those two films. I mean, you say Rebel Moon, I mean, immediately your mind goes to Star Wars. And I thought, whoa, is this like Zack Snyder doing a Star Wars movie? And it's like, I think I heard somewhere that this was his pitch for a Star Wars movie. And obviously the people who are behind Star Wars, George Lucas or whoever, were like, no, it's a hard pass. And so he just went and did it on its own. There was this one review that I think I personally like. I'm not going to tell you to not watch it. It's just like, do you have the time to watch all of it? I don't know. Maybe there's like a highlight reel that you can watch on YouTube or something with like just the best scenes, because, if you're sick, that's a good time to watch it. Like if you're not going anywhere, you can't go anywhere, and you got 6 hours to spend, and you're into like Star Wars, Dune, Guardians of the Galaxy, then yeah, pop it on. Do the director's cut, the R-rated director's cut, and just, pop an Eddie and have yourself a good old Snyder time. This particular review, though, was, I think, pretty spot on. Robbie Collin of the Daily Telegraph. He gave the film 2 of 5 stars. And he said, as a space opera, it has none of the weight of Dune, none of the characterizations of Guardians of the Galaxy, none of the madness of Jupiter Ascending or The Fifth Element, and none of the pep of Star Wars. While Snyder, and then Lauren Coates from the AV Club said, while Snyder may do his best to invent a dark, gripping universe to engross viewers, Rebel Moon is a limp, soulless regurgitation of tropes stolen from much more formidable films. Harsh. Very harsh. So it's like Anyway, in terms of viewership, the film garnered 23.9 million views in 3 days when the PG-13 version first premiered in late December. So it would have been Christmas last year. Holiday time last year. It was the number 1 most viewed English language film on the service from December 18th to the 24th, the second consecutive Netflix number 1 for Snyder, starting with Army of the Dead, the 9th best 2023 debut for a Netflix original film. Stayed in first place with 34 million views in its first full week of availability following its debut weekend. And the week after that, fell to second place with 11.1 million views. In its fourth week, it had dropped to eighth place while earning 3.9 million views, as the film also earned an overall worldwide total of 72.9 million views. I forget how Netflix classifies a view, though. Like, is it 8 minutes? I'm going to look it up real quick. Because recently changed its definition of what constitutes a view. As of 2023, considers a view to be the total time spent watching a movie or season of a TV series divided by the running time of that content. Well, that doesn't help. Yeah, they must have changed it after it released. Total viewing hours by content run time. Yeah, it didn't do that. So that was when it first premiered, the PG-13 version. And then in 2024, the week of April 15th, re-entered the charts at number 5, bringing in 5.5 million views, jumped to 4th place on the top 10 the following week, 2 weeks later, adding 6 million views. Alrighty. So, and I have a feeling that a major reason why it was, why is because of that freaking thumbnail, dude, that poster that they had. And it's just not, it's hard to not click that. It is clickbait. It's basically like a very feminine looking figure, almost like a supermodel-esque type body, but it wearing what appears to be like a motorcycle helmet, possibly looks like a robot or an android. Just sexy as all hell. And spoiler, that thing has no part in the movie. It literally is on screen for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And all it does is it just walks out of a saloon where I think they just had the big fight scene. It just walks out of the saloon and just looks around. It's just like, wow, you put that on the poster, huh? It's like, well, you got me. I wanted to see what it was, and I got to see what it was, and it had zero to do with the movie. It didn't really do anything, I don't think. I mean, unless I'm misremembering. So I guess April 19th to 21.4 million views in 3 days, making it the most viewed English language film on the service from April 15th to 21st. 44.2 million viewership hours, making a significant decline from the first part. Part 1 was reported to have 54.1 million viewership hours in its first 3 days. The original plans were for a trilogy of movies. The franchise will eventually consist of a total of 6 films. Wow. The writer stated the treatments are completed for the 3rd and 4th movie, and Snyder is currently writing the 3rd film. On the same day, Snyder stated that the total number of films in the series will be either 4 or 6, depending on whether or not the 2nd and 3rd entries of the trilogy each get split into 2-part movies as well. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I just don't know. It's a similar situation to what happened with Horizon American Saga. It's like it's great that you have a plan if it is successful, but then it also sucks. Like, you did all the work and part 1 comes out and it flops, and it's like, oh, what do I do now? What do I do with all this material and content? Maybe you do what Costner does or said he would do and turn it into a TV series. So keeping with the marathon of very long movies, I watched Babylon. This had been in my queue, and I was very confused by Babylon as far as like the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, on IMDb. Seems like it has a higher rating on IMDb, mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's a long movie. So it's like, do I really want to invest 3 hours of my life into a movie that's kind of meh? But I was like, screw it. I'm sick and I have the time. I don't have anything else to do, and I can't really do anything else except zone out, veg out. So might as well throw it on. It's a great movie. I really liked it a lot. Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. I mean, like, awesome cast. Really great direction. I think it's from the guy who did La La Land. And now it's got me kind of interested in La La Land because I was like, Damien Chazelle. So now I'm like, I really didn't have a ton of interest in La La Land for a long time because I was like a musical. Like, I don't know if I want to watch a musical. Not really a musical guy. And now it's like, ooh, I like what he did with this. It kind of has, I don't want to say predictable ending, but it's kind of like an ending that we've seen before with this kind of story. So I don't know that it's original in that regard, but there is a wild scene. The whole scene where Manny and who else was with Manny? He was with someone else. And they go down and they meet like Tobey Maguire. And Tobey Maguire is just like, oh, they meet at a restaurant or a bar. And Tobey Maguire has like weird, it's one of Tobey Maguire's most interesting roles I've ever seen in my life. He's like in this weird kind of makeup. And it's because I think he's addicted to like heroin or something like that. Like he's super addicted to some drug that makes him look like his teeth are rotting and like disgusting. But he's like, he's well off and he appears to be wealthy and he's wearing like nice clothing and he's, drinking like, he's throwing around his cash, his money. But he's also like, he's so physically run down from the drugs that he's doing, because this takes place over the course of like, I want to say 30 years from the, starts kind of in the 1920s during the silent movie era. And then it moves into the talkie era. So it examines how actors that were huge stars when you had silent movies where it's like they didn't have to talk, they just had to look good. And then talkies came along and it shows the impact it had on the business. Like you had these actors and actresses who are no longer, stars because they can't speak or they can't act or sing or whatever. And then also you don't think about like, well, in silent movies, they have to have someone writing and creating these cards that has the dialogue on it. And that job is eliminated. So, imagine putting like your heart and soul. I mean, yeah, your heart and soul into like the text cards. And then all of a sudden it's like, you're no longer needed ever again because talkies are taken off. And so, Brad Pitt's character, who was like a huge silent film star, and Margot Robbie, who kind of broke in to silent films and then everyone started to hear her talk and they were like, oh, that accent. So like she kind of fell to the wayside or, her star dimmed. But man, the 1920s looks fun. It's got the Great Gatsby vibe where it's like these humongous parties and it's just people going bonkers, just drugs and booze everywhere. And like the roaring 20s, because I guess prohibition ended in 33, didn't it? It started in 18 and then it ended in 33, I think. So it's like people just going ham because it's like, well, yeah, January 17, 1920 to December 5th, 1933. That's so wild that it's like called the Roaring 20s and people just that's when alcohol was prohibited. The sale of alcohol and people just like, oh yeah, check this out. We're gonna crank it up 1,000 notches. So the scene with Tobey Maguire where like they meet him, Manny, the former PA turned assistant turned producer turned director, is meeting up with he's trying to pay off Margot Robbie's debt because Margot Robbie obviously gets very famous and gets into a lot of debt. She's gets huge into gambling and owes a lot of money. She comes to Manny and Manny tries to bail her out by getting all this money from this. He gets the money, but no, it's prop money. That's right. It's fake prop money. So he tries to give it to Tobey Maguire. And Tobey Maguire's like, I have an idea for a movie and I want you to come out with me to see what's up. And so Manny's like pretty, he doesn't realize that it's prop money until it's too late. Like, Because who's the guy that's with him? He has another guy with him. And that guy was pretty funny. He was like, he's like, no, that's not real money. It's counterfeit money. And he's like, oh my God, we have to get that money back before he realizes it's fake money, because then he's going to kill us. So Tobey Maguire has some kind of affiliation with like he's like a gangster. So he, it's the prop maker, right? The prop maker made it. So the gangster, Tobey Maguire, drags them to a subterranean gathering space for depraved zoosadist parties. That's a word? The hell does that mean? Zoosadist is a sexual pleasure derived from cruelty to animals. Oh my God, dude. It is a paraphilia where people are sexually aroused by torturing animals. Zoosadism is part of the McDonald triad, a set of 3 behaviors that have been considered a precursor to psychopathic behavior. You're damn Skippy. Oh my God. So yeah, they go to this like underground lair club where there's like all kinds of animals and people in masks, and it just fetishes like crazy. And he's like, come on. And I mean, it's this long tunnel underground, lots of twists and turns. Like they are deep in the caverns. And Tobey Maguire shows Manny and the prop maker. I think the prop maker's with him, and shows him this big, huge, hulking dude, eat like a mouse, just like a live rat, just picks it up by the tail, puts it in his mouth, chomps down, eats it. And like people are like getting off to that, I guess. It's just an out of control scene. So ridiculous. I mean, one of the first scenes was the massive, one of the first scenes was in someone's mansion, producer's mansion. And like, there's an escort that ODs, and so they have to dispose of her body. And it's just like run of the mill. This is your typical Hollywood party. Like you're going to have someone die. You can't have anyone see it. There was an elephant that shows up. There was the scene where Margot Robbie has to meet with some people, I guess, like Manny wanted her to meet with some people to see if she could, what is the word I'm looking for? Not kiss ass. Charm investors and producers to get them to invest in her movie or whatever. And she is just totally lost with the conversation, can't keep up. They ask her questions and she doesn't know the answers. And then she eventually just starts like pigging out, just like shoving food in her mouth, all the food in her mouth, and like having a meltdown in the middle of the party. I thought that was an awesome scene. Yeah, just a crazy, awesome movie. And I don't understand why it got such negative reviews, because I enjoyed it thoroughly. Oh, Rory Scovel, he plays the Count. And he dresses up in so much of the weirdest stuff. Okay. Yeah, the scene that was kind of excruciating or heart-wrenching was when the black trumpeter Sidney Palmer, Manny is able to hook him up with a pretty solid gig where he gets paid a lot of money. But they say that he's a black man, but they say his skin is too light for film or something like that. And so they give him shoe polish so that he has to like brush shoe polish on his face to make his skin look darker. It's like, what? So that the lighting on the set doesn't lighten his complexion in the final product. It's like, oof, okay. Because it's black and white film. So I guess on film he might look like he's white. I don't know. Lisa Lamont of Collider observed that Babylon functions as a rumination on how human beings try to outrun and ignore their innate mortality. Pitt had like 17 wives. He had one wife that couldn't even speak English. I have to commend that character though, because like the ability to just go ham and party your dick off, like all the time, and then still show up to set and still give a great performance while also knocking back some hair of the dog. Like, wow. And that was just like, that's just standard issue actors and acting back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Now everyone's sober. And the party's over. I only had a worldwide total of 63.4 million, but I had a production and promo budget of around 160 million. So I had to gross 250 million to break even. Oh boy. The film lost the studio $87.4 million. Wow. Babylon's overwhelming muchness is exhausting, according to Rotten Tomatoes, but it honors its well-acted, well-crafted glitz and glamour, an effective distraction. Interesting. It's a syncopated concentration of hedonistic revelry, according to the Hollywood Reporter's David Rooney. Guaranteed to be a movie that will stay in your head. I totally agree with that. It's hard to imagine the overstuffed yet insubstantial Babylon finding its way into many screen classic montages. I don't know about that. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. And that's that. So that was Babylon. Quiet Place Day 1. Probably should have done a little more research on this because I don't understand why this movie exists. I mean, I guess, well, I do understand why it exists. I understand that people probably saw A Quiet Place, the first one, and then part 2, and they were like, yeah, this is great, but how did it start? Because you kind of get a glimpse of how it started, but not really. And this shows you what happened, right there in the title, dude. Day 1. So you're following a woman who has terminal cancer, something like that. And she just wants a piece of pizza, a slice of pizza from her favorite pizza joint that she used to go to with her dad, who was a musician, jazz musician. And, knowing full well that she's going to die anyway from this terminal cancer illness. And it's like, well, I might as well go out doing what I love. And that's having this slice of pizza, the best pizza that I've ever had, sentimental value, etc. Meets this dude in a suit. And he's like kind of in shell shock. He's not an American citizen. He's from another country. And he just kind of follows her. And we don't get much of a backstory with him. But we don't, it's a good movie. Written, directed by Michael Sarnowski, based on the story by John Krasinski, kind of a spin-off and prequel. Digimon Hunsu, who was in Rebel Moon, was also in this, but not for very long. It was just like he's a dad. He's trying to keep his son safe, I think it was. Debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival, was released on June 28th, and grossed over $261 million worldwide. So she has Lupita Nyong'o, definitely didn't get that right, who I love. I think she's awesome. Plays Sam, terminally ill cancer patient, lives at a hospice outside New York City with her cat Frodo. Ruben is a nurse, convinces Sam to join the group to go to a marionette show in Manhattan. And that's when the attack happens. That's when the invasion happens. The creatures attack. So they are holed up in that theater where the marionette show is. And that's where Henry, played by Digimon Hunsu, kind of gets her up to speed on everything. Ooh, yeah, he does kill a dude. I forgot about that because, people, that many people, in a space like herding cats, it's not great. I didn't even put my freaking light on, dude. That's why I look like crap, man. There we go. Yeah. Cool. Just been recording for all that time. Didn't have any lighting. Cool. Yeah, so yeah, that Ruben. Ooh. That was tough to watch. Eric, an English law student. He was English? What? I did not pick up on that. But they bond as they're going together. I don't know. I don't know that they ever really revealed why he is not trying to escape and why he decided to help out. I don't know that he ever said he doesn't have a family anymore. Yeah. I mean, like, good movie, well made. I don't think there were any like crazy awesome scenes, anything really memorable, just like well written, solid movie. This guy, Eric, the English law student, we don't get to know much about him. And maybe that's the point. It's like, I don't know, like he helps her get to the pizza place and the jazz club. So she's able to have the pizza. She's able to have her favorite booze and hang out in the club where her dad used to play. And then he ends up, taking the cat and saving the cat. And then she's like, all right, time to pay the piper. So she just kind of plugs in her headphones, earbuds, and is just like, bring it on. It's a pretty badass way to go. Nina Simone's Feeling Good was the song on her iPod in the music player. So she takes out the earphones and then lets the music play out loud, which causes the creature to appear. Critics said it was grounded in raw humanity, finds fresh notes of fright to play along amongst the silence, less terrifying than its predecessors, but praised the performances. There are enough interesting ideas and at least 2 confident performances holding the movie together, even if it sometimes feels like a first draft of a richer, more complex final film. Efficient, familiar spectacle of suspense, but tiptoeing through a mostly off-screen apocalypse. Yeah. This almost feels like a Hollywood, your typical like Hollywood workaround. Like, we have this really great script with really great characters, really great writing. It's a good story, but it needs something more. It needs something else. Like, it probably started off as like, I'm a terminally ill cancer patient, soon will die. And it's a story of her just wanting to go and get a piece of pizza from her favorite place and hang out the jazz club where her dad played. It feels like that was the story. And some executives are like, yeah, I know. We all agree. It's a pretty great story, but could use a little something else. How about aliens? How about an alien invasion? That's how I'm looking at it. So, I mean, oddly enough, it's like, could you go without seeing this movie? Probably. I don't know that you're missing a whole lot. I mean, good movie. I don't know that I don't know. I'm dying to rewatch it, or that. How does it really? It feels like it's kind of just on its own, because like I don't know that Eric is that compelling as a character. Like, are we going to now follow him in his own story arc? I don't know. I don't think so. So maybe that's it for the franchise. I don't know where you go from. I mean, I guess you can continue to go to different spots. Like, okay, we just did New York City. Now let's do, I don't know, the farmlands of Iowa or Kansas or, Las Vegas. So yeah, that was Quiet Place Day 1. You're not going to believe this, or maybe you will. You know how they say never forget for 9/11? Yep, I did it. I forgot. I woke up on 9/11, September 11th, and I saw a post about never forget, and I was like, why the hell are they posting about 9/11 today? It's not 9. Shit. I was like, oh, damn it, I forgot. Bound to happen one of these days. So never forget. I had to cancel therapy, which was tough to do because my therapist was awesome. The best I've ever had. I worked with her the longest. But once you get the axe from work, that means your insurance goes away, which means your costs skyrocket. I mean, it was $200 with the insurance that I had, because I guess I switched my policies from year to year, and it's just, it's like $200 now after you get the 8 complimentary sessions, which is great. I try to space that out as much as possible. but then I must have I forget to factor in my appointments with my pill pusher, my pill popper pusher, my pusher man, the psychiatrist who prescribes me my antidepressants. And so I forget to factor those in. And then I ended up having to pay like $200, not just for the therapist, who at least I can get like 45 minutes with her, a valuable time. With the psychiatrist, it's like literally like 5-10 minutes. And he's just like, yeah, okay, sounds good. We can up it or we can change it. Da, da, da. So it's like $400 for 2 visits, totaling maybe an hour. It's like, I picked the wrong profession. Also got to watch Rebel Ridge. Rebel Ridge, one of the more underrated movies to come out in 2024. I guess I can't say it's underrated because it did get some. I mean, it has great reviews. I just don't know that it's being talked about enough, and I think that's because it's just not like a huge blockbuster with a lot of names involved. Like Don Johnson is probably the biggest name involved, and then you have like Roy from The Office was also like one of the officers. So it's not like there were a ton of like name brand level actors and actresses. And the protagonist, the main dude, I don't know what, I've seen him in a lot of stuff. I imagine that he might get more roles based off of this, but I don't know. He wasn't like Aaron Pierre is his name. It released on September 6th of 2024. He plays a guy named Terry Richmond, a Marine veteran, who is trying to post bail for his cousin to buy a pickup truck so they make an honest living. But he's rammed and detained by 2 police officers who seize his $36,000 via civil forfeiture, despite the money being legitimate. So then there's a courthouse. She's like not a lawyer. She's like a law student, I think. Decides, he's not getting a lot of help from anyone. I think the one guy is like, nope, I'm not touching that because you're just not going to win that battle. It's just one of those, movies where it's a small town corruption, police corruption at almost, a bunch of levels where it's like you go try and fight against this corruption, you're going to get smushed. And so this one law student assistant type woman offers to help him out. And you eventually find out about her backstory, where she was addicted to drugs, and they were like, they took away her daughter, I think, or they were going to take away her daughter. Like she had very limited visitation or something like that. And then, obviously the corrupt cops use that to their advantage and try to exploit that. So, it's basically just fighting against corruption. But this dude, Terry, the Marine, so badass. He just like the level of knowledge and wisdom, confidence, bravery, strength, like amazing, unparalleled. The fact that he's like, all right, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you some options, some choices, and it really exploring just like how messed up civil forfeiture is. And there are a lot of like just a really tough pill to swallow. James Cromwell, if you remember from like Babe and possibly Pig in the City, but Babe, he's like the old farmer. That'll do, pig. That'll do. James Cromwell is the judge who's kind of wrapped up in all this. So I'm not like willing to say that Aaron Pierre is going to be the next big action star, but it was a pretty good entry. Not a pretty good first, I really, he's got a really great look, physical. I guess he was in Old. Remember that M. Night Shyamalan movie where they're all on the beach and they're aging rapidly? I forget who he played in that, but he voices Mufasa in Mufasa the Lion King, which is entering theaters right around this time, December 2024. And he's been cast as Jon Stewart aka Green Lantern for DC Studios' Lanterns television series. That just happened in October of 2024. So hasn't had a ton of credits, but I mean, it feels like he's about to take off. You know, I really appreciated his performance. I think it was just, you know, not quite like mind-blowing performance where it's like, this is going to be the next big guy, but it's like you could see the potential. Like, ooh, okay, this guy has kind of that look and the chops and the presence, I guess I should say, to take that next step and be the guy. Like, we're witnessing the beginning, the birth of his, what I think should be a pretty lengthy career. I mean, he just turned 30. So who knows, but off to a pretty cool start there. So I highly recommend Rebel Ridge. Kind of like, you know, I saw the ratings that were that good and I was like, whoa, this is a Netflix movie? Because typically, you know, all these Netflix movies have been, they kind of went down that Apple TV route. You know, we talked about Apple TV, how they just decide, okay, we're going to have a kind of a average to below average movie, but we're going to slap a bunch of A-list names or former A-list names, you know, cast them and slap them all over the marketing and promotions, and that will draw people in. And then people watch the movie and they're like, well, okay. I mean, like, it was good to see Brad Pitt, but like, am I going to remember this at all? Probably not. So that's what I feel like Netflix was kind of getting into, that groove. Although, I mean, there were a couple movies that got shit on by critics, but I think the audiences liked it. There was that movie with Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and Gal Gadot, Red Notice, which I liked a lot. That came out, 2021. I think that, you know, it really got panned by critics, but I think the audiences loved it, and it's easy to see why. I mean, like, the dynamic between those two is just amazing. And then, what was it? The Gray Man came out in 2022. That had Chris Evans and Ryan Gosling and Ana de Armas. And that was, I mean, that is another one that the critics did not like and the audiences loved. So, and I enjoyed watching each of them. So it's weird. It's like Netflix, you know, at least some of the movies that they're bringing these A-listers into are enjoyable. Like it just feels like the movie, it's like the Apple TV spent almost all their movie budget on the cast and like none on the story, whatever. So hopefully they can right the ship. So that's why Rebel Ridge was, you know, just like, I don't want to say surprise hit, but yeah, kind of a surprise hit. Cause it's like, you didn't have, Aaron Pierre is not well known yet. And then Don Johnson, it's like, you know, I know about Don Johnson. Do the younger generations know about Don Johnson? I don't know. And then Anna Sophia Robb, who maybe she has some pull, you know, the hell has she been in? Let's take a gander. Oh, yeah, I don't really, the way back. I remember seeing that, but I don't like, her name sounds familiar. Oh, Marvels. Oh, that was the TV show. No, it was the podcast series. Wait, what? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, she was Violet Beauregard in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the 2005 version with Johnny Depp. Race to Witch Mountain. Starring The Rock. The way back is what I have seen with her in it. I don't know if I've seen any of this other stuff. She has a ton of credits. Just nothing that I've seen. So, and there's another movie that a Netflix original, Netflix exclusive film that came out that I liked a lot too, that we'll get to when we do October, called It's What's Inside, I think it was called. That was a pretty dope movie. I like that a lot. So that's Rebel Ridge. The one cop, though, he looked like exactly like my brother-in-law's friend, who I think I told that story when we went over to his place because they were studying for the boards or something like that. There's some test that they had to exam that they had to pass. And we arrived there at like 1:00 in the afternoon, like early in the afternoon. And I didn't think we were going to stay for that long. And we ended up staying till like 1 a.m. And I was like, are we sleeping here? And I was like, I don't know if I want to sleep here. I have an interview in the morning. So I kind of had a little I bitched out. I had a little bitch moment. That's, what can I say? So it did not leave a great lasting impression with that guy. And so then I see his doppelganger lookalike in this movie, and I'm just like, and in the movie, the character's an asshole. So I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with you dying. That's not to say that my brother-in-law's friend, I want to see him perish. Not at all. It's just, there was a little, I didn't like how things went down. And I don't know that we ever worked through it. I think I did apologize to him at the party, because there was a party like days later for my brother-in-law. So I think we did make amends, or at least I tried to make amends, but I don't think he's a big fan of mine. He's the one who I told my friends about it, and he's the guy who always said, I'll never forget it. I was like freaking out, and he goes, "You're in the South, man. You need to learn how to relax." I'll never forget that to the day I die. You're in the South now. You need to learn how to relax. I was just like, you know what? Yes, I actually do need to learn to relax. And the truth hurts. And then maybe that's why I was so bitter about it, is because it is the truth. I do need to learn how to relax. The funniest part, though, is that they moved back to Ohio. So they're not even in the South anymore. It's like, so do you need to learn how to unrelax? Did they relax in Ohio? Yeah, so I don't know if you remember earlier in the episode talking about the dog that was kind of on its way out, unfortunately. My friends did have to put the dog down, which was it's tough just for anyone. I don't think I've ever been in the room when it's ever happened, but I've seen pretty much what transpires and happens leading up to that moment. Like you can tell, like, okay, I think this needs to be the move. I remember my mother FaceTiming me when Ozzy, who we got in 2000, was doing the whole, like, she's like FaceTime me and showing me Ozzy, and the dog is just like moving its head back and forth, kind of like an oscillating fan almost, just like, and you can just tell, like, oh, okay, it's just not right. And so she's like, yeah, I think I got to take him. And I was like, yeah, I think that's the right move. So my friends had to put down their doggy, 16 years old, woof, for life. But I texted them just to let them, give them some support. And I'll share that with you now. Couldn't have asked for better parents. Baxter had an incredible life because of you guys. He gave us so many amazing memories over 4 presidencies. It's pretty huge for a doggy. A little gentleman who could be proper 1 minute and raucous the next. Sweater vest on a Wednesday, Michael Myers mask on a Monday. A good boy who was the best boy. May he rest in power. So, yeah, I'm going to miss that dude. I'm going to miss him. He, just full of vigor, piss and vinegar. Anytime when he was younger, I remember, they've moved a couple times, but when I was younger, I would go over for like Sunday fun day, watch some football, drink some beers. Anytime I would get up to go to the bathroom or go to the fridge to get a drink, he'd be like, nipping at my butt cheeks. So, yeah, just playful as all hell, and really couldn't have asked for better parents, doggy parents. They were really so good to him. And, of course they were saying, like, we don't know if we'll get another dog, because how will that dog compare to, the dog we had? And I was like, well, you can't. Like, the dog that you get, the new dog, is not going to be the old dog. It's going to be its own thing. It's just like people, really. I think my brother-in-law, after they had to put down their dog, he's like, I never want to have another dog again. I was like, whoa, you sound like me after the divorce. I don't want another bitch. Oh, God. Anyway, so that was sad, but, you get to remember its life. Next up was the Riverfest Pork Roll Eating Championship at the Arm & Hammer Ballpark, where the Trenton Thunder play. Fairly cheap, not too expensive to get in. I don't think it was not packed, not a lot of people there. I think the one downside of it is I just didn't think to bring cash, thinking, oh, we're going to a ballpark, and a ballpark usually has ATMs every 50 feet. But it's a completely cashless ballpark and stadium. But yet, they had all these things set up. Oh, you know what? I meant to keep that out so that I could look at it, and then I put it away. That's on me. It's on me. But they had all these stations, right? So they had like the pitch where you could see how fast you could throw a ball. Breed but every one of these stations were like they throw a wiffle ball, you can hit a wiffle ball. They had like you can chip like a pitching wedge, you can chip golf balls. I think they were plastic golf balls. As in another station, there was like bowling, there was a jump bouncy house. Like they had them all set up on the field itself. And then they had like local vendors and whatnot selling, beers and whatnot. And see if I can pull that up. But each of the stations, most of the stations, it's like $2, $3 cash only. It's just like, you can't do that to me, guy. In a cashless stadium, you can't do that to me. That's just not, what the hell? So of course I didn't know this, and we got there, and I'm seeing like, oh, I gotta pay $2, $3, and I have zero money on me. So I go up to the guy and I'm like, hey, where's the ATM? He's like, oh, there are no ATMs. It's a cashless stadium. I was just like, you gotta be shitting me, dude. So yeah, I mean, I guess I had enough cash for her to throw the ball, and she could have done better. And I know you're saying, Neal, you're being an asshole. And it's like, yes, I am being an asshole, but I've seen her personally. I've played catch with her where she fires the ball. Like I get a little twitchy and glitchy and flinchy when she's throwing balls at me, because we're in, I don't have a big apartment, so we usually are doing it inside, and she's usually firing the ball because she loves the reaction she gets out of me when she fires it. And then I pay for her to like see how fast she can throw the ball, and she's just like, yeah. Just like lofts it, kind of like barely reaches the mat or whatever, the padding, the target. And it was like 17 miles per hour, which, even though I've seen her without a doubt throw way harder and faster than that, she was still like tops for her age group and her gender. I was just like, if you just put that back into it, make a scout want it. So yeah, it was, we didn't get to do many of the stations. I did get to partake in some drinks though, which was nice. It was the Swedesboro Brewing Company. They had a lot of good, let's see if I can pull up their offerings, because I really did enjoy like basically everything that they had to offer. Let me see here. I don't know if they're going to have these up to date. They did offer a hard seltzer, and then they would put like a little flavoring syrup in it, which I was not, when I learned that they had to pour syrup in it, I was like, I don't know if I want it, but it ended up being great. It's just like, can we not put syrup in my drink? Trying to think. I don't remember seeing any of these. I don't remember tasting any of these. I did try a seltzer with the syrup. I know that. And then there's a bunch that I just don't. Oh, it's this one. That's what it is. Yes. I remember I tried to order a El Mapache Negra, but they were out of it, which sucked. I was not going to do a Flying Steagle. No thanks. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I wanted a Cabin Fever. I think they were out of that, which sucked. But I definitely had, I think I had the Three Sisters and the Wee Elephant, the Trash Panda. No, I didn't have the Trash Panda. I tried to stay away from the IPAs. I just can't. I'm not a huge fan. So That was good to have on a hot day in September. But yeah, like the cabin fever is a chocolate peanut butter roasted porter. Includes baker's chocolate. Body is light, slight sweetness, 7% ABC. Yay. So I like that. I don't know if I got a black and tan. Jabberwocky, did I get that? I don't remember. Dunkel's Bach Lager. Rich, malty, full of depth. Pays tribute to the traditional German style. Smooth, enchanting finish. I don't know that was there either. Probably should have wrote it down. So, but they basically sold me on the fact that they were like, well, every drink is like, I want to say like $8 or $10, or you can pay, I think it was like 25 or 20 or $15, and it's all you can drink or something like that. I was like, okay, now you're talking my language. So, enjoyed that over the course of like however many hours we were there, which was good. And my daughter tried her first deep fried Oreo. And I don't think she liked it much. I also had a Trenton burger, which is basically like a cheeseburger with a pork roll. It's like pork roll with cheeseburger, I think, because the whole event was sponsored by Case's Pork Rolls, local pork roll company. And my God, was that a sight to behold. So basically the event culminates with the pork roll eating championship, where I don't know. They had probably like, I want to say 8 contestants, and they put like the 2 or 3 guys who are expected to get in the top 3 right in the middle. And then they had like a Case's employee on one end, and they had someone else on the other end. And it really came down to the 3 guys in the middle. So Jeffrey Esper, this dude from, I guess he's from Massachusetts or something like that. Whoa. Oh my God. 22 pounds of baked beans. Ew. He's got like 68,000 subscribers on YouTube, almost 16 million views. 14 pounds of tuna macaroni salad. Doesn't go any lower than that. Candied yams, chili macaroni, Qdoba burrito challenge. He's like always wearing a Boston Red Sox hat. Competitive eater. Oh my God, dude. 99 pancakes. Mamma mia. Mamma mia. What's his most popular one? The Paul Bunyan breakfast challenge. Dear God. 72-ounce steak challenge. 7 Domino's pizzas. 6 Little Caesars pizzas. 28-inch 9-pound pizza. 11 pounds of Eagles Deli burger challenge. 28-inch 11-pound pizza from Pointosaurus. 6-foot long roast beef sandwich. 24 pounds. I don't understand how these guys are living. Like, is still existing in this world. My God. So yeah, he beat out the next Jeffrey Esper beat out Jay Webby. 44.5 pork roll, Case's pork roll sandwiches to 44.25. How the hell you measure that? I don't know, because I'm watching this and I'm like, they had people watching and like, feeding them and counting, but it's like you see them and they would have their cup of water, and a lot of them would dunk the sandwich in the water and then shove it in their mouth. And it's like, and they would just just wouldn't stop. So it's like dunk, shove, dunk, shove, dunk, shove, dunk, shove, dunk, shove. And so their cheeks were just like huge, massive, puffy. And I can't imagine, like, the water weighs it down. No, like it helps it to go down easier, but then your stomach gut must be a goddamn bowling ball, 2 bowling balls by the time it's done. It was disgusting. And not to mention the fact when they're shoving it in, there's parts of the sandwich that are kind of falling out. So it's like, how do you measure that or count that? Like, honestly, I think it's all fixed. But I wonder if I should get into competitive eating. It's definitely crossed my mind. It's like, you know what? I've lost so many jobs over the past however many years. Like, what am I good at? You know, it's like you do inventory and you have like a come to Jesus and you're like, all right, so like, what am I good at? What do I enjoy? I guess I like when there's an eating challenge and I'm able to win. Like, that's cool. And I can do that. So I'll just become a competitive eater. But it's insane. Like this Jeffrey Esper, similar type situation to like a Joey Jaws Chestnut or a Kobayashi. These are not big fat dudes. Like Esper's like muscular, cut. This Jay Webby guy is like muscular, cut. I guess it's just like you have to lift like a friggin' maniac or work out like a maniac. But so Esper is kind of like your minimalist competitive eater. Like he doesn't have a weird, like a cool nickname or badass nickname. He doesn't have like a lot of showmanship. He just wears a dirty old ratty Boston Red Sox hat and he does his job. Jay Webby came with like an array of cameras, just like a whole, like 5 different cell phones, all with the, you know, one's vertical, one's horizontal, one's close up, one's back, one's on the side. Like it was insane the amount of the level of work that he did. And then of course, like the guys that got the most like applause and that were like crowd favorites had like the cool nicknames like the Dark Horse or the Red Demon or whatever. And they did not come close. They did not come close. I mean, like 44, I think the third place was in the 40s, maybe, or the high 30s. And then everyone else was like maybe 20s. But still 20 goddamn pork roll sandwiches. Like, how do you, like, I remember, you know, one Easter, I went out with some friends like in the Rumson, Fairhaven, Red Bank area. And then my roommate and my ex-girlfriend went to like a diner late night after drinking, you know, for most of the day into the night before the day before, you know, that's the day before Easter. Obviously, everyone, if you're single and whatever, you're going out and you're boozing. And I was like, I'm going to have like this ridiculous breakfast platter where it's like everything on the menu. You know, it's basically everything on the menu in one platter. And then I'm going to double down on it and do it again. And I couldn't even finish that. So I cannot wrap my head around the idea of eating 44 frickin' pork roll sandwiches. Gross. So maybe I'm not cut out for an eating championship like that. But I guess you just have to enter like a Zen-like meditative state where it's like, so you just don't pay attention to the pain and the, like all the little whatever as you're downing these sandwiches. But like, what do you do after that? Like, you're not like, it was still, what was it, 4 or 5 o'clock? The sun's still out. It's going to be out for another 2-3 hours. Like, do you go to bed? Like, what are you allowed to puke it up? Like, what is the rest of forget your day. What is the rest of your week like? What is the next day like? What is your shit like? So interesting. So yeah, that was the pork roll eating championship. Ooh, baby. She was without her. I mean, my daughter was without shoes the entire time. She's like, I was carrying her shoes the entire time. And I think she had a great time. She had an awesome time. I do remember when she went to the bathroom, I was just looking at the Thunder have, I guess it's behind home plate in the corridor there, just a list of like all the guys that have played the game for the Trenton Thunder that have then played in the majors in Major League Baseball. And so I was just looking at it. It was a very long list. I mean, they've been around for 30-ish years. I remember they first came into existence when I was like in high school, I want to say. So she's going to the bathroom. We're at the point now where I can let her go in the bathroom and I don't have to be there, and she can go in the women's bathroom. So I'm not going to go in there, obviously. Identify as Zize. Okay. Tri-binary. And I'm looking, and then this guy, unprovoked, unsolicited, comes over and just got thoroughly intense about all the names on there. And he's just pointing them out and saying this and giving me like a little, like 1 to 2 sentence snippet about each guy. And I'm just sitting here going, I didn't ask for this. I think I appreciate this, but you don't feel free to not do what you're doing. Like, thank you. I didn't ask any questions, but you're giving me all the answers. Appreciate it. My daughter also started taking luggage to school. Luggage. Like, on the This Is Important, the podcast with the workaholics guys, they always tend to delve back into luggage talk, and that always like pisses off, who is it? It pisses off one of the guys. It might be Blake, but so they talk about luggage a lot. And they talked about how there were some kids, very few kids in high school that would have roller bags. So, traditionally it's like you have the backpack, the straps, you put them on, blah, 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 one on each shoulder. And then it became, you just do the one shoulder. If you do both shoulders, you're a nerd. And then there were kids that had the roller bag where it looks like, a carry-on luggage or something like that. So I guess her mom bought her that, and then she was taking that to school. And I was like, I guess this is okay. I shouldn't be upset about this. There's no reason to get flustered or, mad about this, but it just feels so unnecessary. And it looks so weird. It looks like you're about to take flight at school, which, the more you know, rising star. I get it. But, oof. She also told me that she doesn't like music. And I was like, what? How do you not like music? Everyone likes music. And you like Taylor Swift. That's music. She's like, well, I just don't like the room where the music class is. And I was like, oh, okay. She said it's too dark and the windows are all different colors, which makes me think, is there like a chapel room at school? Like, she doesn't go to a Catholic school or Episcopalian school, like a religious affiliated school. It's just a public school, but I guess they have it in a room that's like has stained glass. I don't know, paying homage to the gods of rock. Hello. Job search. Here's another ridiculous story from the job search. I applied to be a social media manager for Taco Mac. If you're not familiar with Taco Mac, it's understandable. I think it's a restaurant. And it's not a Mexican restaurant. It's a sports bar franchise in Georgia. I don't even think they have tacos or they have macaroni and cheese, but yet Taco Mac. So sports bar franchise in Georgia. They gave me like a 10 question survey. I did it. They said, congratulations, you completed it, you passed, and you got the job. We're going to mail you a computer. And I was like, wait, whoa. I don't know how much I'm being paid. I haven't talked to anyone. Like, I haven't talked to anyone face to face. Anyone face to face. I haven't talked to anyone. I got an email from someone saying I got the job. I passed the 10 question survey, which you can basically like take the question, enter it into any GPT prompt chatbot AI, and it will give you the answer, and you can just put that answer and you can pass, and then you got the job. I was just like, and they were like, just send your email or just send us your address and we'll get the computer out to you ASAP. And I was like, what? No, what? This feels wrong. So I didn't take it. And looking back, maybe a mistake. The pay wasn't great. It was part-time, but it's just like, if this is this doesn't feel like I earned it. It's like I get so upset that I put so much time and effort into these job applications, so much time and effort into these job applications, and then I don't hear anything. There's just zero feedback whatsoever. Or I can just take a 10 question survey and get a job. It's like there's just no in between. I did take my daughter to a birthday party. It was at a house. I don't think I have claustrophobia, but maybe I do. Like, to have all those kids and all those parents in a house, in one room of a house. It was just, I don't know. I got kind of tense. And so luckily I kind of just made my way outside, and outside they had like this kind of carport overhang type thing where they hung a tennis ball from a string, and then kids were taking a bat and trying to hit the tennis ball, but it was like completely unsupervised except for, I guess, me. So I'm just standing there and I'm like, I don't know how to talk to people anymore. I don't know what's going on with me, but like, I don't put in the effort at all. It's unfortunate, but like, I was like, I'd rather watch what's about to happen here. Cause we're like careening towards a major accident that's going to hurt everyone. But I was like keeping an eye on it, and I'm like, do I intervene? Like, cause they're taking some massive swings at this ball, and they're coming super, and like, these are like 6-year-olds. So it's like, they don't see the future like I can. They don't know the inherent dangers that are going on here, where it's like, you have one kid who's just free swinging all over the place. You have another kid who is like approaching the ball, trying to make it stop as the kid is swinging. There's someone walking behind him that's like getting in the backswing. So it was like, I'm just seeing like people getting taken out left and right in my head, visions of just calamity. But I was like, at least I'm watching because 0 other people are watching. And maybe that's the thing, is like other parents see me watching. They're like, he's got it. But like when I walked out there, no one is watching these kids like hack away at each other and at this ball. So I'm like, I think I'm responsible because like I'm not really talking to anyone. I'm not busy. So I guess it's up to me now to keep things at bay. And then another parent comes out, a dad, he goes, whoa, what the heck are you guys doing? You're going to kill each other. You're going to knock someone's head off, knock their eye out, break their skull, crack a skull. And I was just like, yeah, you guys. I was about to tell them I just came out before you came out. He's like, no, I saw you. You were there for at least half an hour. So yeah, that's all me. But I was like, they're having fun. No one's gotten hurt yet. So I don't want to be like, I also don't want to have to constantly be like, what, now I'm the guardian of the friggin' tennis ball and a string? No, thanks. I never signed up for that. I didn't opt in. Unsubscribe. And then, so my daughter I think my daughter has formed a very unhealthy obsession with 2 of the more popular girls in her class. The 2 girls are related. They're cousins. They're like attached to the hip. They live near each other, obviously. And my daughter is just like, I don't know what else to call it. It's unhealthy obsession. It's an infatuation. It's just like, and I know you're thinking, whoa, it's so unlike you, Neal. How does that happen to your daughter? Like, you don't do that, have unhealthy obsessions. Touche. So, I was like, I got to cut this off at the pass. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to address this, because it's like, it's getting worse. And sure enough, at this birthday party, all of a sudden I turn around, she's in tears. My daughter's in tears. And I'm just like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, I get down on her knee and I'm trying to be soft with her. And I'm saying, hey, what's up? And she's like, well, it's hard for her to talk because she's like really upset, the point where she's so out of breath from crying that she can't even speak, that kind of crying. And so I'm like, all right, just breathe. It's okay. Just breathe. Deep breaths. And so eventually she tells me that, so-and-so and so-and-so said I asked if I could play with them, and they said no. So they won't let me play with me. They won't let me play with them, which is like the worst thing that could possibly happen to a 6-year-old. So I was like, all right, well, sometimes people don't want to play with you. And when that happens, you have to look at some other options. There's food and drinks. You can go get something to eat, go get something to drink, just cool off. You can play with someone else. You can play by yourself. You can do this. You can do that. I gave her a bunch of options, and she's like, I'm going to tell her mom, one of the girls' moms. And I was like, do not do that. Do not do that. Do not do that. That is something that is not an option. I listed all the options. Here's the menu. There's no off menu ordering. Okay. And so I'm like, okay, everything good. And I thought she had calmed down, settled down. And so I go and I had, I guess the mother of the birthday boy offers me some wine. I was like, yes, this is going to help. This is going to help me. So she was like, just tell me when. I was like, keep going. She's like, it's overflowing. I'm like, keep going. So, the wine helped, but then I turn around and I see my daughter talking to the mom and like basically ratting out and being a narc and the tattletale. And I was like, oh, that's it. Nope. So I have never done this before. This is the first time doing it, but I took her by the hand. I said, we got to go. We're leaving. Get your shoes. And so she kind of started throwing a fit. And I was like, nope, I told you. I was very specific and I was very clear with you. Like, we do not do that. I told you not to do that. I gave you all the options. I told you repeatedly 3 or 4 times what your options were. I said, do not go to her mom and tattletale and say they're not playing with you. Do not do that. And you did it. So I was expecting her to really go to nuclear level freak out. And instead she just immediately quieted down and like stopped crying and was like, okay, I'm done. I stopped. And I was like, nope, too late. So I hate to be that guy. And I guess not many parents at that party would have done it, what I did, but it's like, there has to be a line that you have to, you draw a line in the sand and you do not cross it, but you have to kind of back up. There have to be consequences for your actions and behavior. And you have to know when it's not, when you don't listen and you don't, behave, that there are repercussions. So I felt like shit for doing it, but at the same time, I was like, I had to do something. You have to learn your lesson at some point. So, and of course we forgot our jackets there. So I had to go back the next day and be like, hey, so sorry we had to leave early, prematurely, but thanks for having us. Do you have our jackets? So, I think she learned her lesson, but, I do get upset with her. Probably a little, when I do get upset, it's probably a little, I don't want to say overboard, but it's, she's not a bad kid. She just does things that, she's not like, setting kittens on fire. It's not anything that's like psychopath type level behavior, but it is just stuff that needs to just rein it in a little bit. When, it was all going down, the mom who was hosting the party, she asked if, she's like, oh, but can she stay for cake? And in my head, I'm like, no, you're not understanding what's happening right here. If I give her the cake, that's a mixed message. It's like saying, bad girl, you're rewarding bad behavior. You're saying, I know you screwed up and you did something bad. Now enjoy some cake. It's like, no. Like, she has to form the association with, I did something bad and this is the punishment. Like, cake is not punishment. Unless you're like, I force her into a cake eating contest and she has to down 25 cakes, in 10 minutes. And I think she would even love to do that. So, that was tough. I don't think people kind of grasp what was going on there, but let them eat cake. Let them think what they want. And then we got to see Wild Robot. I'll finish out the ep with this. Wild Robot, really good. It was in 3D, which I know my daughter loves, putting on the glasses and getting to watch in 3D. We did miss, she did tend to lose a little focus toward the end. It was a little bit on the longer side, which, I know you want to make a good movie. You want to tell a good story. You want to be thorough, comprehensive. You want to have context. You don't want to leave anything out, leave any loose threads. But these producers and companies and studios need to realize that it's 90 minutes maximum. You cannot do 2 hours with these movies. For kids, you cannot do it because they're not going to make it. And, she lost a lot of focus towards the end, couldn't sit still. She somehow lost her 3D glasses. No one knows where that shit is now. And then she had to go to the bathroom. So I missed a large chunk of the ending. But it was enjoyable, for me and for her. It's basically the story of a robot that, quote unquote, wakes up, and the ship or whatever, crashed, that was carrying it and other robots like it on this island, I want to say. So lost shipment, can't get back in touch with headquarters or whatever to get rescued. And so ends up just living in the wild with all these animals. And so it's like a helper robot, but it ends up, through programming and learning how animals behave and being able to talk to them, speak their language. I think it teams up with like a fox, and then they kind of unofficially adopt this small duck thing, a small bird, and eventually end up teaching it how to fly so that it can rejoin, its flock or whatever. So, really, really good movie. Very emotional, smart. I think it was a tough movie for her to process, but I enjoyed it. She did not like the robot. She was like, but I like the baby animals. And I'm like, okay. I don't see coding in your future. As much as my mother, your grandmother, wants you to be a girl who codes, because that's the future. Somehow I don't see STEM being like your strong point going forward. She's like, I like the baby animals. I'm like, yeah. So maybe you'll be a vet or a zoologist, something like that. And the kids next to her, holy shit. It was a boy and a girl with their mom and dad, or what, the guardians. And the boy, I can't put a number or age on him. I think he was like maybe like between 6 and 12, I want to say, maybe towards the older end of that range. And it was like he was in Mystery Science Theater 3000, or like not Beavis and Butthead, but like just talking at the screen the entire time. Like there would be a quote or something would happen, and he would dish out a zinger, like a little one-liner, and he'd be loud as hell. And I was just like, I get it. I've been in your shoes. I have never done that in the theater, but I have done it like watching with a friend at home. Like it's funny. I get it. But like you're in public, if there's everyone around you, we didn't opt into that. We didn't buy tickets to hear that. We bought tickets to hear that on the big screen. The parents were I was kind of hoping the parents would step up a little bit more and like be like, hey, like knock it off, like keep it to yourself, or like whisper it or write it down, but they weren't discouraging it. I mean, they weren't encouraging it, I don't think, but it was just like, hey, can you like put the kibosh on this? Cause it's rubbing people the wrong way. So Wild Robot, 2 thumbs up for me. I liked it a lot. And it was moving, sentimental, emotional. I don't know if I teared up. Did I tear up? No. But, amazing visual effects, graphics. I'm surprised it didn't do a little bit better at the box office. I don't think it did that great. Take a look here. 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb. 97% of critics gave it a positive review on Rotten Tomatoes. 85% on Metacritic. Lupita Nyong'o was the voice of Roz, the robot. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Pedro Pascal was the fox. He voiced the fox, Fink. Catherine O'Hara was the possum, Pinktail. Oh my God. That possum had like a dozen kids, 6 kids, and was just like over it, which, I mean, yeah, that has to happen. You can't, like, I've always been curious about, like, I never watched Kate Plus 8, or, I've never seen an interview with Philip Rivers' wife, who they have like 9 kids. I went to high school with a kid who was one of 16 or 17 or something like that. And I made a note. I was like, I should probably talk to the mom, see what's up with that. Like, what? Like, I'm having big time troubles with one. How do you deal with 15 more? Yeah, Catherine Hare was pretty funny as Pinktail. Mark Hamill voiced the grizzly bear. I did not know that. Wow. And Ving Rhames was Thunderbolt, the falcon who helps Bright Bill learn how to fly. So, very cool. I'm trying to see here. Worldwide total of $324 million. It's pretty good. 11.2 million on its first day. Debuted to 35.8 million. Slightly above predictions. All right. That's good. I like that because part of me thought like I didn't really get I'm not really hearing a lot of people talk about it. So I'm wondering if it really resonated or got traction, but it looks like it did. A simple tale told with great sophistication. Wondrous entertainment that dazzles the eye while filling your heart to the brim. Yeah, pretty spot on. Audiences polled by Cinema Score gave it an average film grade of A. Post-Track, those surveyed by Post-Track gave it a 96% overall positive score. New York Times called it a dazzling triumph of animation, a work that cares most about two things, big feelings and great beauty. Clever, heartfelt, and frequently stunning, writes The Guardian. DreamWorks released its richest, most moving film since The Prince of Egypt in 1998. Whoa. Screen Rant called it the best animated film of the year. And Collider said it's one of Sanders' best films yet. Sanders being Chris Sanders. What else has Chris Sanders done? Great question. The Croods, Call of the Wild. He created the character Stitch in 1985 and voiced Stitch. Oh, my daughter loves Stitch. Stitch is also interesting. Like Lilo and Stitch, I don't remember that being very big when it came out. I mean, obviously I was a little bit on the older side in high school when it came out, but like I don't remember it like sweeping the globe in terms of popularity, but yet it's still like even my daughter and her friends are still like into that character even now. So I'm wondering if there's any plans to kind of capitalize on that and do something else with it. I vaguely think that I remember hearing something about that, having it come re-enter the zeitgeist. It's got a ton of award nominations. Tough to say it's the best animated film of the year. I mean, Inside Out 2 came out, and that's hard to compete with, but one of the best for sure. And I guess in October, they confirmed that a sequel is in development. So it's pretty cool. It's an adaptation of a graphic novel. No, that's not right. You idiot. That's something else. Learn how to read. So yeah, if you have children or even if you don't, I don't think you need kids to watch this movie. It's just a good movie. Good, solid movie. So that'll do it for this episode. That does it for September. Next up, October, November, hopefully. Might not get to November, but October, definitely try and get that out to you. And until next time, I don't even have a cliffhanger. Do I? Do I have a cliffhanger for October? Oof. What am I going to talk about in October? There's your cliffhanger. Boom. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And talk to you next time. Adios. Muchachos.